It's not very loud, Zoomy.
Where's me see on?
Since we don't have a host tonight, I guess I'll be hosting since, yeah. So, first off, hello, Booma. How are you doing tonight? Booma? Booma. Well, Booma's on mute, so hello, Planarwalk, our first guest tonight. How are you doing tonight, sweetie? Oh shit, I'm on mute. Fuck, I'm on mute. Hey,
Yeah.
no wonder you didn't hear me. The crowd heard me, but you didn't. So anyway, hey Booma, how are you doing tonight, sweetie? He's still on mute. Great. Okay. Hey,
No, I was out listening in the other side. It's a little quiet. Our master's a little quiet. I just noticed that, and I wasn't muted. I just heard myself on the stream. So anyway, how are we, guys? It's a stinking hot 30+ degrees here in Victoria. So Australian summers suck shit, but I like summer over winter. Apparently, you guys have got snow over there. Is that right? Snowed in Texas, I believe.
No, South Carolina, and no, we don't have snow. It was around, what was the temperature today? It was around 42 Fahrenheit, and around 42 freedom units. 37 right now. It's 3 degrees Celsius right now. It's 3 degrees in cunt units.
Wow. Okay.
How many
My
bars
God,
is
that's
that?
step outside. That's testicles almost jump up. So your testicles jump up so high they almost hit you in the throat, and your fucking anus clenches so tight it can almost fucking infuse helium into hydrogen or hydrogen into helium. That's fucking cold, man. I don't do that shit. Thanks.
It's around 4 bars per minute. Around 4 bars per minute, and that's the sheep unit.
We don't do bars per minute. It's bar. It's just a unit of temperature.
I always heard it was bars per minute. Oh well.
No, it's just bars.
What's a unit? Hang on. How's a bar? It's an atmospheric pressure, isn't it?
Oh,
no, that's bar.
It's a bar, not a baha. Silly. You silly Australian.
1 bar.
No.
Yeah. 1 bar is 14.7. I thought it's a unit of pressure, isn't it? Oh my God, I'm feeling like a fucking teacher now. Is that right?
Well, one bar is around what, 3 degrees? Roughly.
So I know that 0 bar right, is negative 0.57 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
And then 100 bar is 39 degrees Celsius.
Oh, okay. So, roughly.
So it's the freezing. So 0 is the freezing point of sheep's milk. 100 is the average temperature of a sheep.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense then. Okay, so probably around 3 bars. Well, about 5 bars. About 5 bars here, right now.
Okay. Not too cold then.
So how is it New Zealand and Australia? I know summer over there. Well, down there.
Up here. Yeah, it is meant to be summer up here. I mean, at least today we've got a blue skies, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, it was raining earlier today. It was raining a bit
Very
earlier
good.
today. That is the worst, though. The freezing cold rain. Oh, God. Feels like damn icicles hitting your face. Hey, Zhenju, in the chat. Nobody else is in the chat, I see. And yes, I left a poll up, so I know we're doing this a bit early, but that's because KIC is going on early, and we don't want to be 30 minutes behind his stream. Like we would be, and SC Tomb just it wasn't.
Well, mind you, we could jump in. We'll probably see that.
So
we could jump in and see the dumpster fire sort of late.
Yeah.
I'm
So
going to
I've
jump
got a
out and jump
question.
back in because I'm on a huge delay, guys. Okay, so
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So my question here is, what's the context?
Tyrant Slayer is a not Sovereignson, a frauditor, and he's doing an interview with Keeping It Criminal, which is a person who does like subsit / frauditor content.
Okay.
Hey, Walter Van Bellegum. Walter Van Bellegum. There we go. Walter Van Bellegum. That is a very difficult name to say. Boom is back, but he's muted, and it says fellow good
Well, I always call him Q. So.
Oh, Q. Oh, so he's
no
Q.
relation to the conspiracy.
Oh, no relation to the. Okay. Oh, he's not QAnon. Okay.
Okay,
good.
I'm back, guys.
Walter Van Bellegum. I can say that. Van Bellegum. I usually pride myself on getting names and words right. But that one is a little bit difficult, but I can do it. Van Bellegum. See? Ah. Or I could just call you Van Helsing. Von Helsing. Walter Van Helsing. 2 minutes to go. Yay.
Well, right. So we're doing a kind of an what do you call it? An introduction to the upcoming Van Helsing is fine. Okay.
Van Helsing is fine.
Actually, a lot of times, though, what I find in our English translations too, like what's the one that's a common one? Is you see a European name that is George's, as in George with a plural. It is pronounced Jorge. The G's are pronounced the H's in Spanish, I think.
Yeah.
So what is George is Jorge.
Yeah, it's Jorge. Yeah.
God, it doesn't really favorably translate, does it?
Sumi.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna send a name in chat.
Oh God.
Try to pronounce this one.
Shabe.
What?
Shibe.
Shibe. Okay. That's interesting. I've heard people pronounce that scribe.
Scribe? How does that scribe? SCHEIB. That's Shibe.
Yes, Shibe. I've also heard people pronounce it Shreeb.
It's either Finnish or German or Dutch rather. Or maybe German.
It's German.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually pretty decent at
Well, we
pronouncing things. No matter what language it's in, unless it's like
we do lack our resident.
What?
We do have our lack our resident Germanic pronunciation specialist, which would be Arduin. He could knock that out of the park for us.
yeah.
Unfortunately, in Germany, they're all in that time zone. They're all asleep right now because it's 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Right now it's 9 o'clock p.m. As you can see on the
No,
screen.
it's 3 p.m.
Well then. Welly,
It's 3
Wellington.
p.m. in UST.
UST. That would be United States Tomato Time. Don't.
No, Universal Sheep Time.
Universal Sheep Time. Okay.
Oh. Oh, the land where they don't know how to pronounce their vowels. In fact, it's weird. I love the Kiwi accent insofar as you've got all 5 vowels, but you misalign them, like the Antoinette and 66. Like, you've got A, E, I, O, and U. You just don't know where to place them. And that makes you guys one of the more difficult accents to actually assimilate. So, but I do try.
Like,
I love giving
like it
Kiwis
is
credit over their accent.
like I have noticed something about the Australian pronunciation of I. So it's quite common when saying the word 6. All right. So here in New
Six?
Zealand we say 6,
Thanks.
right? But in Australia you guys say 6.
Geeks. Yeah.
Well, no, it's funny because I've noticed some Kiwis say 66 and others say 66. My ex-girlfriend Robin back in the 80s used to say, "Oh, it's about 6 o'clock," and I'd say, 6 o'clock is a good time. It's my favourite time of day, and she'd slap my face. She had a face ring too, a nose ring before it was trendy. Anyway, yes. Kiwi chicks don't like my sense of humour for some apparent reason. Anyway, yes.
6 o'clock. Yeah, that sounds like a good
Right,
time.
the coffee's kicked in. Now, Zumi, we seem to have gone a bit awry. We best let the audience know what we're actually doing this afternoon. So we're going to be we're going to be simulcasting / mirroring. What's his name? Tyrant Slayer, is it? Tyrant Slayer.
Keeping
Doesn't
it criminal.
that suggest that awesome power of I am so great?
That's keeping it criminal,
Yep.
and Tyrant
And
Slayer
who was
pretty
Tyrant
much.
Slayer? His victim to be? Is he like a?
He is a frauditor.
Yep.
Quote unquote
Cool.
First Amendment auditor, and he's a fucking idiot. As all
Ding.
frauditors are. As all frauditors are.
Look. Yep, I've got my. There you go. I've got the soundboard loaded. I have to pick up my bell, which I found on the counter of a shop. It was next to a bunch of pamphlets, right? There was a bunch of pamphlets that said, "Please take one," and the bell. So I took the bell. I thought that's quite good. You don't put the bell next to a bunch of "Please take one" pamphlets. Anyway,
Welcome.
that's how I got my bell.
Welcome to the
Anyway,
chat,
that's also a
BJ.
bullshit detector. So, what happens is frauditors to me are people who seem to want to be face palmed by security officers. Is that right? They have a masochistic desire. They just go up and stick a camera in someone's face who's clearly got a bad attitude, because anyone who wants to be security or a copper tends to be a bit of a thug. They just do it legally. So what better way to get your face against the concrete with the weight of someone's knee on the back of your head than to walk up and stuff a camera in their face while they're trying to do their job?
Yeah,
Now, I don't know
pretty
about
much.
you, but I think frauditing First Amendment rights, saying it's my constitutional right as you hit the deck and you're basically about to get a mouthful of concrete. I don't know. I somehow think this is a bit of a hiding to nothing, and I would rather spend my time doing something maybe more constructive, like rebuild a vintage sports car out of a plastic model. Maybe they need a hobby. Is that it?
Yeah, they
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, their time would be better spent buying a Lego construction set and just live streaming it, putting it together. Like, honestly, they'd probably
Their
get more
time would
views doing
probably
that.
be. Their time would probably be better spent, live streaming them drawing with crayons.
They get more hits live streaming than watching pot paint dry. Just at least then they wouldn't get arrested every single time.
Q has
you know
good
something
point,
interesting about Lego. There was
Give it a
actually there was a TV show here in Australia about Lego, and this was on Prime sort of Sunday night 7:30 with Hamish Blake, who's a pretty high profile, doesn't work for nothing. In fact, he's got a hefty thing. It was like a reality elimination show based on Lego. It was like Lego championships on TV, and these are people who weren't kids. These were very, very mature dudes doing Lego, sort of Lego World Champions, I suppose.
Yeah, there's
a life in Lego. Wouldn't that be cool?
No, there's all kinds of YouTube type stuff out there. Like one thing I love watching myself is Lego stop motion food videos. I find it oddly satisfying.
What the?
Oh, you've never seen any Lego stop motion food videos?
I haven't seen the food one, but BattleBots is my thing.
Oh, okay.
I just love BattleBots. The bunch of nerds making machines that beat the shit out. Imagine using one of those as your dog. No one would ever come into your house, would they? Imagine a burglar jumps over the fence and he hears the BattleBot start up, and this little thing is basically a lawnmower with a remote control on it, driven by a crazy nerd. That'd be fucking scary, wouldn't it? One of those coming at you. Anyway, sorry, off on a
Yeah,
rave.
looks like
Still have some time.
Tyrant Slayer is probably late, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it seems that way. But we can fill the time just chatting, nonsense.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're all very qualified at chatting nonsense, so that's
Yes, we
good
are.
call. Okay.
But yeah, I watch
Derp.
derpy derpy derp 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 derp.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to chat nonsense, right?
Well, derpy derp derpy derpy derp 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 derpy derp 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 derpy derp.
Zoomy, I hate to inform you that the Earth is not flat.
Derpy derp 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 derpy derp derpy derpy
Well,
derp derp derp
well,
derp.
The horizon doesn't rise to eye level.
Derpy derp derp derp.
I have a theory for you, Mr. Planarwalk. All right, let's not overeat the pudding. Okay, I do have a point. Have you heard of the Space Hammer Frisbee-shaped Earthman theory? It's Frisbee-shaped, and there's a person swinging around like a hammer throw, which gives you gravity. It's a Frisbee that's on like beam and balance scales, and the sun is said man's hair on fire. And as he swings around, his arm obscures the lower half, thus giving us day and night, and the scales are slightly offset, thus giving it a bit of a swinging motion backwards and forth to give us our Frisbee Earthman. It's potentially a thing. It has gravity. It has seasons. It has tides. My Frisbee Earth could be a thing, and you will worship me as a god.
You see, the Earth is actually a cylinder.
So there you go.
I mean, like
That's how we get the Earth looking flat in some places,
cylinder,
and have it looking not flat and curved in other places.
I still say the
honestly,
Earth is a
you
giant.
cylinder boys, you haven't thought it through. You just all you've got's gravity. You don't have seasons on your cylinder Earth, dude. I was part of the cylinder Earth, and I realised it was a sham. Come to Frisbee Earth.
I mean,
Usual
there
farm.
are seasons on the cylinder
Frisbee
Earth
Earth, mate. It's the new thing.
because it's just where the sun is.
And yes, PJCnet, we do have.
Well, where's the sun? Is that
K9 there.
outside your cylinder Earth, or you?
Yes, it's it's not inside the cylinder Earth. Like
That's-
it's
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear? Okay, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
not.
looking
That's
at
not actually.
K9. Dude, I'm sorry, but
That's not a K9.
Yeah.
That's not Tom Baker's dog. That's our vacuum cleaner.
oh, dude, I'm glad you told me. I'm a bit of a fanboy. I would have gone all weak at the knees if that was the real canine. Like, I mean, oh, dude, here's my favourite thing to watch on TV. Wow, I'm a bit faint. Thank you.
Yeah, that's just our
Getting my hopes up.
vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
That's just our vacuum cleaner. He's modded to look like K9. But it's just a vacuum
But-
cleaner.
Tell me, does K9 hump? Does he hump people's legs, or does he just vacuum under the couch?
Unfortunately, we haven't trained him to not hump people's legs. So, yeah.
That explains a lot. Okay, that's a bit
Yep.
Rule 34.
Sorry about
Fair
that.
enough.
Oh, I do just want to say something
folks.
to PJC Net.
Tonight,
We're about to go live. What were you saying now?
Hey, we have a simulcast.
So I want to say that I don't, PJC Net, I don't think you understand split brain patients. Because I remember PJC Net was on MC Toon's live stream recently.
Yeah, PJ Cena doesn't understand a lot of things. But yeah, we've got a stream to start now.
I think he does. He just pretends he doesn't to get some attention. That's the way most of them work. But we won't blow you cover, will we, PJC Net, you fucking po? That's just my opinion. In my arrogant opinion, you're a po.
Yeah.
And you just try to get traction because you lack talent. Nice move, brother.
Well, let's start this stream
Anyway,
up.
having had my say.
it was a little different.
Yeah,
We
I
had a
don't
lot
dislike
going
the
on today.
PJC.
Couldn't get too much going for the stream. Generally,
You
we
can
pride
hear it,
ourselves on having a lot of information.
right? Planner and
I can hear it.
Boomer? Okay, you can hear it?
I
Good.
can.
Okay, good.
We can.
And getting some things together pretty quickly, but unfortunately I could not get the opener fixed up and things like that. But welcome to On the Stand. I am Kick, and my co-host for the night is Taco. Say hello to the
Hello.
nice people.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well.
Absolutely. I hope everyone's well. I also want to thank our two brand new members, Unclean Hands and Doug Donahue. Really appreciate the support for the channel.
Unclean Hands is a good
And
guy.
yes, this is a very important On the Stand stream that we've got today because we have a special guest. I would like to introduce you to Tyrant Slayer Studios.
Yeah, that's
Because he was too much of a bitch to show up.
That's
You
right.
see,
I
you see,
figured.
Tim Riley, you piece of absolute shit. You who decided to say such nasty things about Schrodinger's cat, Nicole, and their son Winston. The fact that you're out there typing behind your keyboard like the man you think you are. And instead of taking on the responsibility of being a decent human being and a father to your child, you made an active decision not to show up tonight. You made an active decision to say nasty things about people who have passed and the people who are suffering that loss.
Yeah, he basically what happened was he said a lot of nasty things about Schrodinger's cat after he passed away, and he made, I believe it was him that made the meme saying meth not even once with a picture of Schrodinger's cat on the screen, and I'm like, yeah, what a douchebag.
Yeah, that's
It's fucked up.
yeah, that's just disgusting, you know.
Yeah, it is. And yet, that's the
I mean-
asshole we're talking about tonight.
Now, I mean, I've made one joke about Schrodinger's cat passing, and it was a joke that people did approve of. Like Steve McRae said, yeah, Schrodinger's cat would have liked that joke.
I made one joke myself, too. I said, damn it, why can't we close the box?
Well, mine was he's thinking outside the box now too. The other thing too about it is it depends on your context, guys, because when someone's passed, you do give them due respect. But at the other side of it too, when I'm down in a hole, I actually want you guys making jokes about me and having a swipe at me because that's the only chance I won't get a comeback and the only chance you've got to win in one against me. So, ha ha ha. But
Yeah,
it's the context. If you like the guy, you like him. If you're going to be a douche, you're going to be a douche. We know he's a douche. So would you expect any better from him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turns out that he was late. Well, not only was he late, he didn't show.
Yeah, he didn't show, period. He just didn't show up. I actually guessed that whenever I started just watching loading the stream up to begin with. I was thinking to myself, this asshole's probably not going to show. That was the first thing that crossed my mind.
Well, what's probably going to happen is this happens so many times, right?
Yeah.
Where he doesn't show, but after the stream ends, Kit gets a message saying, "I'm ready to come on now," or something like that.
Yeah. Either that or I totally destroyed your ass, and you're just a coward to let
Yeah.
me on.
They play this little game.
But you wouldn't let me on. You wouldn't let me on. I'm like, no, we gave you the fucking link.
I've got a bit of a thing though.
Go ahead.
I've got one for you guys. What we do is we all pick a flurf and we be an understudy for them. So if they don't show up at a debate, whoever the person is that shows an understudy steps in and just basically derps it up, behave like a total dickhead pretending to be them. That way, they're going to be shamed into thinking, oh my God, they're taking the piss out of me big time. I've got to either show up to stop this or allow the piss take to continue. Either way, it's a lose-lose for them, and they can't just go attention-seeking because they know they're going to incur the wrath of, well, in my case, Boomer. I would love to do Nathan Oakley or actually Nathan Thompson. But if you pick one and be an understudy, wouldn't that be fucking cool? You just come in like, oh, you're all fucking idiots and I'm dating a third grader and whatever. They've got to show up. I reckon we go with this, guys. We all pick a flurf and be an understudy. They'll fucking hate it too.
That seems like a good idea.
Just watch all their content and try to mimic them as best you can. Of course, you'd flirp it up a little bit, you know.
I don't even mimic them. Just go in and make it.
You would, of course, you know, like I was
just
saying.
got to go in and do shit up.
Mimic it.
That's all.
Do shit up. Yeah, exactly. Make just like an exaggerated version of them.
Yeah, and like as PJC Said, at least he turned up to MC Toon's live stream. Like, unlike this guy here, you know, I will respect anyone that actually shows up to interviews and debates. You know,
yeah.
If you don't, sometimes it's understandable. Like if you maybe sometimes something comes up and it's like, can we reschedule? That is understandable, but just not showing up at all is not understandable.
Not showing up is just...
Well, Planner, I must bring attention to a particular... Can I bring up one? Can I bring up one with you, Planner? What's his name? Fucking got beaten up by the MMA wrestler. Oh, that's right. Right the fucking douche. He arranged a debate with you about a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't show up, left you, even though he got advertised, and then was over debating on someone else's channel. What an attention-seeking little fucking dweeb who had nothing to say. By not showing up, right the hand showed how much of a douchebag fucking prick he really is. At least PJC, although I call you a po and give it to you, I do have respect for you because you do show up and you do follow through.
Yeah. Yep. And I still need to have a chess game with PJC Net at some point. But with right the hand, like I think he had scheduled a debate like with Mr. Sensible, right? At the same time that he said that he'd be on with me or something like that. He chickened out of the Mr. Sensible debate, but then said that said to Mr. Sensible, if you want to debate, I'll be over here to debate. And Mr. Sensible was like, no, you come on to my thing and debate. And it's like, and then he eventually showed up to me, and I'm like, why aren't you? So I can't remember exactly what happened. I think I might have mentioned Mr. Sensible, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was a shit show.
But yeah, people not showing up is just like complete bullshit. Like, seriously. Anyway, let's continue watching a little bit. It doesn't look like it's moved in. Yeah, I think he already quit the stream.
So you, sir, can fornicate yourself
anymore.
Vigorously with a cast iron pineapple. You fucking coward.
Get off our damn show, you piece of shit.
So fuck you, Tim Riley.
There it goes.
Fuck your people that support you. Fuck 1A. And let's do the buddy cops.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah, Tim is a bitch.
He is. I mean, if he doesn't show, then it's bitch made, right?
Yeah, it's all bitch made. Hashtag bitch made. Let me turn the volume down just a tiny bit. they can hear us over. Yeah. There we go. Oh, Bitchin.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Buddy Cops. What a night indeed. And we've got a special guest with us tonight. Miss Mandy, welcome to the stream, young lady.
Well, since they're not really talking about Tyrant Slayer, so let's change subjects real quick. How about Karen videos?
There's actually okay.
Well,
Here's a subject that I'm thinking of tackling sometime soon. There's a celebrity that I've heard of, right? Have either of you heard of the celebrity called Russell Brand?
Oh God, Russell Brand.
Yes.
I can't stand
Yes, I have. And all I can say, absolutely crazy, because he was going out with Katy Perry and he broke off with her by text. Katy Perry is the most rootable woman on the planet, and yet he broke off with her. If that's not certified fucking crazy, I don't know what the fuck is. Russell, what the fuck is wrong with you? Everyone on the planet would have wanted to have had her. You had her, and you fucked it right up. That's bad. He's a nut. Anyway, let's go.
So when it comes to Russell Brand, on one of my alt accounts, I've got some alt accounts that I've been using. What's been coming up is Russell Brand videos, because these are tailored to. This is like a flat Earth. I watch flat Earth videos on this account to indoctrinate myself. And yeah, Russell Brand has been showing up. I haven't watched any of the videos, but they look crazy. What's like some of the titles that come up? Let me
find your. There we go.
He does want to be a bit of an edgelord, and he does pick good topics. But then when you start seeing going on a rant, because he does do a few rants on English TV, he sort of ends up in a weird way. Not unlike, I remember Sonny Bono from Sonny and Cher. He appears to be this kind of cruising dude, and yet you discover like he's a right-wing magatard sort of Republican. He pushes a genre. He actually had 3 divorces. Cher was one of them. He only ever was married for 3 or 4 years at a time. And he comes across as this real smooth, hi, everyone. And underneath, he's quite a narcissistic prick. And I think a lot of these celebs, they try to hide it, but they just can't hide the inner narcissist within themselves. And it does come forth once they get famous.
Yeah. So one of the ones that came up was "This Will Not End Well" from Russell Brand. But I like the one that came up next to it from Sky News Australia, saying media ignores and misrepresents Canadian protests.
Okay,
What protests?
Let me
I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me talk about the protests real quick. For one, it's around 0.1% of the fucking population that's doing it. It's not even, it's not that many people, for one. 2, they're withholding food for homeless people. They're withholding, social worker stuff for homeless people. They're doing a lot of shit that's harming people. Well, not just homeless people and, people on welfare and stuff. They're holding that shit up. They're terrorizing small towns, essentially. All because they don't want to get fucking vaccinated.
Yeah, it's really stupid. It's like, just get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Anyone...
Okay, just a quick one. Just on the poll, guys. Will Tyrant Slayer ban us? No was 10%, yes was 89%, and 1% they said they doubt the accuracy of these polls because there were only 10 votes. So, I don't know how we got 89%.
I don't know.
Anyway, look, the thing with these truckers, look, I can go back to a time where trade unions and the Transport Workers Union in Australia, as well with the Electrical Trade Union, were very militant unions. Now, they did technically, a lot of times back in the 70s and 80s, did hold the community to ransom because of their power. They were there if they meant well, they can use their power. But unfortunately, these guys are probably a very small percentage trying to enforce their will. And these are like the Pauline Hanson voters we have here in Australia. There's 1% of them, yet they all say she speaks for all of us. No, less than 1 in 100 people has that view. So this Canadian truckers blockade, I'm all for truckers doing blockades, but they've got to have a justifiable cause. If you inconvenience the public, you don't achieve your goal. What's the objective? Oh, I don't want to be vaccinated. I want to be able to spread a disease. That's kind of a bit of a fucked up agenda, really, isn't it?
Mm. Oh, have any of you seen this thing that came out recently? So I'm guessing everyone's heard about the Joe Rogan controversy, right? With Spotify.
No, fill me in. Fill me in. I need some background on this. Could you please?
Okay, so what's happened is Neil Young threatened to leave Spotify if they don't do something about Joe Rogan. I can't remember. I think they basically said it's you either get me or Joe Rogan, and Spotify was like, okay, well, we want Joe Rogan, right? And so Neil Young removed his music from Spotify. And then there were some other artists that were like, okay, yeah, we're going to follow suit. Basically, because Joe Rogan's been spreading misinformation about the vaccines.
Yeah.
But something that actually came out fairly recently, and I mean, it's always been out, but it's just no one's sort of picked up on it, is Joe Rogan actually has a podcast that he did a while back where he was in complete advocacy of vaccines. He was like, oh yeah, vaccines, if you don't get them, you're an idiot, basically. And it's interesting how now that the COVID vaccines are out, he's gone ahead and changed his tune.
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
I think that he's spread some anti-vax sentiments that have resonated quite well with the anti-vax community, and because he's done that, he's been flooded with praise from then, and gone, okay, that's what I want to. I'm going to take this position here to get more praise.
Yeah, I think if you're defending, anti-vax people, you are in effect an anti-vaxxer. Period. Like, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, burn a bridge here because I was recently blocked on Twitter by one Dead Kennedy in Space because he was defending the anti-vaxxer truckers, and it kind of pissed me off. Because, like I said, and he's very quote-unquote science-minded, yet he's defending anti-vaxxers. I wonder, what position does the anti-vaxxers take? Would it have to do with anti-science? So yeah, Dead Kennedy in Space, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, look, here's the thing, Zumi, is what you've got to do, someone like that, okay, you disagree with him, but as Voltaire, the famous French philosopher from a couple hundred years ago, I may totally disagree with you vehemently, but I defend your right to say it.
Yeah.
Now, I find with someone like that, who you may think is an idiot, the best approach, and Pauline Hanson here in Australia, she is the Nazi Party. Apparently, homeless people, it's their fault they're homeless, and unemployed people should just get a job. Now, those people, the best thing to do is give them enough rope and they will hang themselves. Give them a minimal platform, let them have their ways and expose their idiocy. Dead Kennedy is probably, I'll be devil's advocate here, he's probably defending the you don't like mandates view, not so much the no, I don't think you can spread COVID, but having things forced on you by the government is a bit unpleasant, and I sort of see it, but I don't agree with it. There are times where you must exercise power.
I mean, speed limits are a thing that governments enforce on everyone.
Seatbelts.
Yeah.
But no,
with seatbelts,
helmets.
What it is?
With seatbelts,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, seatbelts. Not wearing a seatbelt doesn't make you a danger to other people as well.
Yeah, it just makes you a danger to
my
yourself.
headlights. I will not use my headlights because the government says I have to wear my headlights at night. No, dude. It's common sense because you need to see where you're going. So this is okay. You had your view on Dead Kennedy, but we've got to point out that he's defending the truckers. That's probably beyond the pale a bit.
I think that the most what was the term? Most similar issue would actually be anti-smoking laws that say, you're not allowed to smoke in public, because smoking in public can affect other people.
Yeah.
It's a public health matter. That is why in a lot of places you're not allowed to just start smoking in public.
Yeah.
Good
And
call.
the thing with him is he's what you call a free what was it? Freedom to speech absolutist. As in, he thinks everyone has the freedom to speak and say whatever the hell they want to, which I don't agree with. There are some things that you should not say in public. Like, I don't know, the Jews will not replace us. That's something you shouldn't be able to say in public.
Yeah.
I think that one of the issues is that there have been a lot of people that take this free speech, and they take this free speech absolutist, and I can see why you'd want to say it. Like, it is pretty, like, the idea of limiting some speech, right? The issue that you get is who decides what gets limited and who doesn't.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And
yes.
that's why, and that's why I can sympathize with it a bit, but we're seeing bad consequences from just letting any speech be allowed, because when you allow all speech, regardless, misinformation tends to spread faster than correct information.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. You shouldn't be spreading misinformation. Misinformation really shouldn't be allowed in our intercourse. Yeah,
and then
you
there's
know what I'm saying.
Well, guys,
you know what I'm saying.
Who is an expert of the meme as we know it today? The originator of the meme, and I dare say beforehand, but by my study, was Goebbels. He gave the quick 4-word state the statement. I won't say what he said, but as you know, Goebbels was fucking mouthy boy's right-hand propaganda man. He made everything short, sweet, and simple. And that way you don't need a big political discussion. And those guys, that particular party that the mouthy mustache boy was in, they all appeared to be the youthful new view that was going to change the world, because up until then, it was a bunch of old bastards and an aristocracy. They actually looked good to the general members of the public. They were an alternative. And it's sort of bizarre when you think, how could they have got into power? But when you look at the actual dynamics of politics across Europe at the time, it was always going to happen. There was all these extreme things occurring, and when you have extreme views, you have extreme results. And we learn from history.
And I just got word from Ashanti. Her internet is down, and the only way she could do it would be on her phone, and her phone's internet isn't that good, so she can't do it.
Okay, well,
just us.
That's not a problem, Ashanti. We shall cover you. We will always miss your input. It's always valued, but we'll get across the line. We'll do the Ben-Hur. I'm sure myself, Zoomy, and Planarwalk will carry the can for today.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vish.
Also, let me just say...
Jump in the chat if you want to.
Also, let me just say, blocking someone on Twitter is a coward move. That's just a pitched move. I haven't blocked anyone on Twitter. I haven't blocked anyone on Twitter. I don't have a single person that I blocked.
I know of 2 people that have blocked me on Twitter, right? One of them is just some random turf, and the other is TJ Kirk.
Oh, God, Amazing Atheist?
Oh, my God. Not Captain Kirk from the Enterprise. You've been barred by someone from Starfleet?
Not James Tiberius Kirk. Not James Tiberius Kirk.
No. TJ Kirk, right?
TJ, not JT.
Not JT Kirk. Oh, thank fuck. Oh,
the banana in the butt guy. The banana in the butt guy. No, seriously, he had a video of himself shoving a banana up his ass on YouTube. I don't know why he did it, but he did it, and that was one of his first videos. Ugh.
Well, We all crave our, what is it, 15 minutes of fame. How you achieve that fame is somewhat questionable with some people, isn't it? I don't know about banana. Yeah,
You see.
bananaing. Is that a new term? Is that a thing?
Yes, that's a thing, apparently.
I've got to say, hasn't TikTok showed us how stupidly extreme the idiocy of the world has become? Like, I mean, some of the shit I'm seeing on TikTok, it's bizarre what people are putting up as a 5 or 10 second. What used to be the funniest home video show is now, hey everyone, let's be an idiot, and isn't it showing us a lot? And also, we've got Gareth, who's a Canadian, in the chat too, and he's actually qualified on the truckers, but we've kind of gone past that now, haven't we?
Let me see. How do you check settings and privacy? Safety.
Oh, you're doing technical stuff there.
Mutant blocked accounts. You aren't blocking anyone. Yeah, I figured. I'm not blocking anyone on Twitter. My stay on Twitter is unstained. I have plenty of people I disagree with. I have plenty of people I disagree with, but I don't block because I'm not a fucking coward, and I can defend my position. Only a coward blocks.
I just noticed something on my alt account's YouTube saying 3 suns in the morning today. There's a person.
What does that mean?
It means that CC thinks that he managed to film 3 suns at the same time in the morning.
Oh God! Are you talking about the dog sun or whatever it's called? Sundog?
Oh, sundogs.
Yeah, sundog. Whatever the refraction limit is so high that it makes it seem as though there's multiple suns in the sky when there's only one.
Oh, the top comment is from Orphan Red saying beautiful sundog effect.
Yeah. See? Exactly.
Is that the
I'm just a mouse girl with a mouse brain, and I knew that.
Yeah,
if you're listening out there, Orphan Red, and I know you're probably not, but hello to all 3 of you. I find all 3 of you rather amusing and entertaining. I like your work. Keep it up. Sorry, guys. God, she's stacked.
Send you a link to this, Zoomy.
Yeah.
What's this here?
Make it tonight. Okay, there we go.
What are you doing? Sending a link where? Oh no, are you doing technical things? I'm a Glober, man. Globers can't tech, according to Flat Earthers. Did you know that? We can't tech.
We can't, yeah, we can't.
I don't think Flat Earthers can tech either.
Oh, okay, it's up on the screen. See.
Full screen.
No, but they say it. When they say it, just, it's so good. I love hearing Flat Earth, fluffy types say that.
What the fuck?
What are we looking at? It's reflecting off a pond. Of course we're going to see something. Oh, dear.
That's
my goodness.
That's refraction plus reflection.
Sunrises?
Well, guys, all I'm going to say is that's it. The jig is up. Our NASA shield money. Look, those flat earthers are upset because they're not smart enough to get the money from NASA. We all know the Earth's flat, guys. It's just you guys don't get the money. Stop bitching. Just come and agree and come to the sphere side, and you'll get the money, like the rest of us do. Fuck. Yeah. See, and like I can even say it openly now, and no one believes that we're all shills for the globe Earth.
I
are
also
you typing in there? Are we?
Yes, I commented. Lovely sundog there.
I also have noticed a video that I actually appeared in on your side chat, or not side chat. I mean, recommendations bar.
Where's that?
It's the one by the Creaky Blinder.
I can't tell.
It's a SpongeBob one.
Oh, is it down here?
Do you see SpongeBob on your screen?
Oh, there.
Anywhere?
Yeah, right there. It's right there. Yeah.
I actually made an appearance in that, like very briefly, because Matt Powell decided to say, "Oh wait, I've got to stop." Jeez, it's really annoying how when you mouse over a video, it starts playing on YouTube. But Matt Powell decided to say, "Oh, these YouTube atheists, they all are into Final Fantasy or anime or video games and stuff." And it's like, yeah. And he equates that with that's because they know that atheism is just a fantasy.
Uh, 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 uh,
yeah, I have been informed by.
Literally speechless.
I was informed by Twitter that Matt Powell has taken the video down, but fortunately, shortly after commenting on Creaky's Twitter post, I actually got a Discord message from Creaky giving me a link to the drive.
Oh God!
Where he had the video. Mr. 42 also sent me a copy of the video.
Would you mind sending me a link so we can watch the video?
I want to take put my own opinions on it.
Okay, that's understandable.
And separate video.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
That will be coming out sometime next week, and I want to do something that I think is going to trigger Matt Powell. So, although that's for the video itself.
Okay.
I have basically two video ideas that are going to come out within a week or so. One is on Matt Powell, the other will be on Kent Hovind.
Oh God, Kent Hovind. Can't stand.
Garrus asks, "Do you like Marvel?" Yes.
I am a DC girl. I am a DC girl. So
I think he's going to be prepared for that.
I'm a DC girl, so I do like Marvel, but I'm going to say
tell me, I thought Kent was due to become, or shall we say, our good old friend 06452017, as we all know him affectionately. Wasn't he going back for another stay in? Wasn't he going into the hotel again?
Yes.
Yeah, he's going to have another stay. I wonder if he's going to have a rebranding.
Okay, was Kent Hovind going back on another little stay courtesy of the government hotel, government-appointed hotel, bed and breakfast? Yeah, what do you call it? Government B&B, Airbnb?
Government B&B. B&B.
Yeah, I think he's trying to delay that,
Yeah.
But what I want to know
well,
is...
he's a little bit behind with Dino Park, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
But
Go ahead.
My question, though, is will he be rebranding? Because his current name is Inmate 06452017, right? Will he be rebranding to a different number?
Probably.
Wow.
Probably.
Look, it doesn't matter what number he gets. He'll always be 06452017 to us, won't he? Because that's his famous number. We love it. I've got it memorised, mate. It's up here. It's burned in. It's the only number I know. I forget phone numbers. Every number in the world. I even forget my fucking age, and that's only 2 digits until next year. But anyway, but no, I've got Kent's number burnt in.
The only number
of course, Dr. Peel, we believe, could be putting up Kent Hovind as well. And according to Tony Regime in the chat, he's got an inflatable Kent Hovind called Matt Powell. I believe Dr. Peel has a Matt Powell.
Oh, God. No, the one thing that pisses me off, though, the most, all these conversations are usually about, atheist versus Christian. And I'm like, you do know there are other religions out there besides Christianity. Hinduism, Shintoism, Buddhism, Muslim, Islam, there's Catholicism, there's 20 million fucking variations of Christianity. There's also paganism, from Norse paganism to Egyptian paganism, Roman paganism, Mayan, Incan, Olmec, Aztec paganism, which I'm Aztec pagan myself. So
There's also
yeah,
techno-Buddhism.
techno-Buddhism. Yeah, there's technocratism. There's um transhumanism, which is
There's
technically a
Scientology.
religion. Yeah, Scientology. There's all kinds of religions out there. It's not just atheism versus Christianity. It's not a fucking false dichotomy. There are other
And then there
religions.
is, and then there's the religion that you, or the cult, should I say, that you, I think you're brought up in, called Mormonism.
Mormonism, yes, there is Mormonism as well. That I'm ex-Mormon, but yeah. Which, if you,
I still remember the channel
You
that you
did
created.
overlook.
oh yeah, what
You
was the
overlooked.
name of it? What was
You
it?
overlooked
War on
Pastafarians.
Mormons.
The godless.
What about Pastafarians, guys? I thought.
Zumi, I think the channel was called More on Mormons.
No, that was the original name, but then I changed it to the godless Epicurean.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. And Garrus asks about techno-Buddhism. It's basically Buddhism, but we live in a simulation.
Yeah. So there's reincarnation. So there is reincarnation, but it's just your soul going into another program.
Basically, yeah.
Or it would be your quote unquote code going into another program when you die. That would make
If you've been good enough, though, right?
Oh yeah.
If you've been a bad boy or a bad girl, then you get deleted.
Oh, okay.
I can hear Boomer right now going, well, looks like my girlfriend or whatever is.
Oh, that's my girlfriend's gonna get deleted. Sorry, bitch. Sorry, bitch.
Although
Techno-Buddhism. I've never heard of. I had never heard of that until now. Thank you for enlightening me on that. I've never heard of it. I'm glad I heard of it now.
yeah, okay. So there's something that I do not like about Buddhism, right? Or a lot, not about just Buddhism, but the idea of reincarnation, right? So the issue that I have with reincarnation, or the concept of reincarnation, is the fact that when it comes to getting reincarnated, or at least on this earth, is you basically have to have your mind wiped, and then it's like if you have your mind wiped, then it doesn't really matter what you did in the previous life, at least to yourself.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't like the idea of having your mind wiped and having to live again. Like that sounds like it sounds just awful.
That sounds like hell. That literally sounds like hell, because you're just repeating the same goddamn mistakes, basically.
Yeah, you have to basically it's just learning the same lessons over and over again, and then forgetting the lessons. It's like if you are a good person, right, and you get to and you do well, and then you die, and then you're born again. Like, firstly, it's not guaranteed that you're going to end up in the same religion.
Yeah.
But secondly, the lessons that you learned from having to live life the first time are
completely gone.
You have to relearn those same lessons.
Well, see,
and
from what I was a Buddhist at one point, so I understand, where they're coming from. They believe basically that you keep on reliving a new life every time in order to ascend to nirvana, and there's only been one person to ever ascend to nirvana, which is basically paradise. It's where your soul is perfect and that you have gained all the knowledge that is possible, and you've lived your best life essentially to the point where you're no longer capable of learning anything else, and that you're just a perfect being. And that's, like I said, called nirvana. But that takes. Apparently, that would take millions of years because, yeah, like you said, there's no guarantee that you'll be reborn into the same religion. There's no guarantee that you'll be a good person in your next life. There's no guarantees on anything, basically. You'd have to pretty much luck out completely in order to achieve nirvana, because it would be all up to RNG at that point.
Yeah, I like the idea of techno Buddhism much more than I do regular Buddhism, because in techno Buddhism, because it's nothing official, you can make up stuff, which I like being able to
Just
do.
make shit up. Just make shit up.
I mean, that's religion, isn't it? Making shit up.
That's
But
general religion. Yeah, that's just religion in a nutshell. Just make shit up.
techno Buddhism, you can like ascend to the next level of the simulation, let's say, which but keep the knowledge that you've gained in this life. All right.
Yeah.
And then when you ascend, you then have to basically advance through what might be a different scenario or whatever, and then you can just ascend through that, and that makes a lot more sense to me than just being like, okay, you die and then your soul goes to another body and just your memory gets wiped. I just don't like the idea of that.
Yeah, well, that's why I like Aztec paganism, because it's much more brutal. When you die in Aztec pagan, when you die in the Aztec faith, essentially you go to Mictlan, which is guarded by Mictlantecuhtli. Mictlantecuhtli is just he just sits there guarding the bones, essentially, and he guides people into the afterlife, which there are several layers to, and essentially you have to work your way through hell to get to heaven. You are just a skeleton working, years and years and years to ascend hell. Well, not hell, but Mictlan.
If I may, guys, PJC says all religions can't be right. There are a lot of overlaps. Therefore, the biggest overlaps are more likely to be true. Okay, PJC Net, the challenge I throw forth is, hypothetically, if we were wiped out tomorrow by, say, some miraculous disease, only a few people re-emerged, in, say, 5,000 years' time, would the exact same religions be around again? And the answer to that is not a chance in hell.
No.
Snowball's chance in hell. So, no, they're not all right. That's Occam's razor, oversimplified to the point. Pastafarian, the spaghetti monster, is probably never going to be a thing. But it's not going to re-emerge, nor is God of the Bible, nor are any of the others. We will re-emerge if we were totally wiped of our memories. It would be totally different religions. But E would still equal MC squared. Velocity and gravity would still be the same.
I just want to correct you there. E squared equals MC squared squared.
No, square root.
Plus
square root of.
It would be the square root, yeah.
No,
you've got a square root, and if you're going to square it, you've got to square root the other side.
Yeah.
Well, E squared equals MC squared squared plus PC squared.
Or just completely different letters altogether.
The reason why I do that is because E equals MC squared only applies, and this is one of the things that I'm starting. This is a little tirade that I'm starting on now. That only applies to an object at rest, because otherwise you've got to account for momentum. I think P is momentum.
Yeah, PJC Net, they wouldn't automatically just believe in a creator. You don't know that. They could just emerge completely atheist and not understanding a creator at all, and just, being all atheists, or creating a very new religion that doesn't have a creator god in it. You never know.
Because if E was MC squared in all things, right?
Or the dinosaurs may return, because the dinosaurs had a space program, pissed off, and have returned. So how do you know it's not going to be the dinosaur people
Or the-
re-emerging to wipe us out? Therefore, they said, God, these guys had a God, for fuck's sake. I'm glad we left the planet 65 million years ago.
I just want to continue a little bit on my tirade. Because if E always equaled MC squared, right? And then you could rearrange that to be M equals E over C squared, which would mean that because light has energy, it would also have mass. But light has energy but no mass. So where does it get the energy from? Well, if we take the equation E squared equals MC squared squared, and by the way, there's a few brackets in there that I'm leaving out, plus PC squared, then we can see that, the energy comes from its momentum. And light has momentum.
Yeah.
Can I actually interject slightly on that one? Go back to a Big Bang. Everything was at terminal velocity, and we have reduced from terminal velocity coming back. It's a little bit like we as humans are reading the book from the back, and we're reading it forward, which is always kind of tricky to do. Now, what happens when you think that everything at the very beginning moment of Big Bang, which could be point of creation, so we'll just leave it there for you God botherers. You can have your little sky fairy. But anyway, if you think that everything was terminal velocity and the actual objective of the universe, not that it's consciously doing it, was to achieve stationary, which it can never do, but we're slowing down. So then when you take it like that, a photon of light at terminal velocity actually has mass because it rotates so quickly at a small area, yet it can circulate the globe 3 times in a second. That little photon of light now has mass because it, in essence, is existing in more than one place at a given time, just by its little orbit, being an atom. So that's how light gets mass.
Light
No,
doesn't
you're
have
not there?
mass.
Okay.
Light doesn't have mass.
A photon, well, mass is composed of light, though. So light, therefore, creates mass. It doesn't have mass, but it creates mass. It has velocity only. A photon of light is pure velocity.
I think there are instances
if you invert
like it has...
equals mc squared as into the square root of energy equals mass by acceleration, you get the opposite. Energy itself, pure energy, E equals mc squared is actually a simplification too. The original formula wasn't as we know it now.
Yeah, well, that's why I say it's only used for an object at rest. At rest, E equals mc squared is true, but if it's got momentum, then you have to use a completely separate set of equations, and that's where E squared equals mc squared plus PC squared, and P stands for momentum.
EJCNet in the chat said, Big Bang isn't proven. It can't be recreated. There's no possible way anyone can prove it happened. Sweetie, you know we have models based on the Big Bang, right? And that science doesn't prove things.
I'd say that PJCNet, we've seen the Big Bang. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah. We can use radio. What is it? What type of what dating was it?
Cosmic background radiation.
Cosmic background radiation.
Yeah, cosmic background radiation.
Yeah, we can use cosmic background radiation to determine exactly how old the universe is. Sweetie.
Yeah. Basically, that is the image of the Big Bang right there, cosmic microwave background radiation. And I know what PJCNet is probably going to respond with. It's probably going to respond with, oh, that's not actually seeing it. Yes, it is. That is literally light.
Yeah.
And look, also what he's overlooking here is saying it can't be recreated. Well, of course it can't, because it's the original singularity. But what the thing is although we know it to be 15 billion years old, the actual size of space is much larger, because what we are seeing is what happened 15 billion years ago. Therefore, that actual moment at the edge of the universe has gone older. So it's a lot older. However, we evolve. God does not. Our philosophies are different to what they were 100 years ago. We can change. You guys can't. So that's why your little Bible in your Sky Fairy kind of falls down. It's not negotiable. Big Bang Theory is, and it's always improving, and that's why we love it so much.
Hey, we have
And
a
the thing
tiny
is,
raptor.
like,
we have a tiny raptor in the chat apparently.
and the thing is, like, the evidence for the Big Bang Theory is as good as the evidence as you're gonna get for anything that creationists and flat earthers will say. Like, it's like taking a photo of ships disappearing over the horizon, because it basically is a photo of the Big Bang happening. Because it's radiation, which is light, right? And light.
A really good way to think about it.
It's the
A really
closest
good
thing
way
we
to think
can-
about this
it's
is
the closest thing
you-
we know.
if you actually see a thunderstorm from out in space, yeah, we know you don't believe it. If you see a thunderstorm, you will see a series of little electrical charges, almost like a lightning bolt across the outside. Now, they all make sounds out down here on the planet. When you hear what is swirling thunder, you are hearing a lot of lightning strikes coming into your central point from different ranges. So the sounds coming in from different points, that's exactly what cosmic background radiation is, the same thing. However, it's the sound of the initial Big Bang, but it's coming back to us from all the points as it crackled and went out. That's pretty simple shit, Muddy. It's like ripples in a pond.
I like how you googled that and zoom in just to show PJC.
PJC
you're bringing up a theory. Yes.
Please read what is on the screen, PJCnet, or anyone in the chat.
Yeah, the interesting one.
Yeah. It's funny how flat earthers because generally when people say that gravity is
okay.
Because when people say that gravity is or evolution is just a theory, is usually the one that they say. It's like, well, gravity is just a theory, right? Well, gravity is also a law as well. There's the laws of gravity, but the laws are the theory of gravity. So really, flat earthers have taken that to the extreme with being like, yeah, gravity is only a theory as well.
Yeah, a theory and science is completely different.
Yeah. There's the literary term and the actual scientific term. What they call a proof is like in a court of law. That is a proof, as in like you had the knife that had the blood on it of the victim in your house and you can't say where you were. That is reasonable proof. In math, theory and hypothesis are very different things. It's a hypothesis, then it becomes a theory in science, which means scientific theory. It is technically proven.
Yeah.
So theoretically, in a court of law, you theoretically murdered someone.
Well, not proven.
That's the semantics they argue. They don't even know the fucking language they're using because English is evolving every day. So yeah,
because
doing that
when
semantic
we talk
argument
about proof, when we talk about proof in science, nothing can be proven, right?
Yes,
all you've got theories that haven't been disproven, right? And when we say disproven, what we really mean by that is there hasn't been enough evidence that has mounted against it, right? Because you can have some evidence that would mount against a theory, but it might not be enough to for us to drop the theory. Especially if it's a fairly good theory, which so the reason why we haven't dropped general relativity yet is because it's a pretty good theory, makes pretty good predictions, and there is some evidence against it, but we've actually got ways in which we could, I think the whole dark matter thing is an issue, but we're like, well, dark matter is a good explanation for what's going on here, which means that the theory still holds. There's a few other things that count against it, but it's not enough for us to stop using it. If there were to be a few discoveries made later that were to completely decimate the theory, then we'd have to drop that theory in favor of whatever the next big theory is. You don't ever prove a theory because proof is not something that science is in science. All you have is evidence for or against something. If you do an experiment and that experiment confirms your hypothesis, then you have evidence for your hypothesis. If it confirms your null hypothesis, then you have evidence against your hypothesis and for the null hypothesis. It really just comes down to what evidence you have, not whether you can prove it or not, because you cannot prove anything.
Yeah, and like what PJCNet is trying to say in the chat, that he's
Can
saying
I-
that now that evolution can't be proven, what do you call ring species, sweetie?
Also, I just want to correct you there.
Yeah. Well, can I just...
A ring species is
run back
only
on that a second?
evidence, not proof.
Can I...
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Puma.
Can I just run back on an interesting one to the style of which your points are debated is, if I was to say to you, I can skip a stone across the surface of water, unless you've actually seen it happen, you'll go, no, bullshit. Whenever I've seen a rock, it hits water, it sinks immediately. And yet, under certain conditions where I have a flat stone or I come in on a super sharp angle, I can make the stone skip 3 or 4, maybe 6 or 7 or 8 times. When I show you how it's done, you will then look and go, how he's done that is coming on a really tight angle where the velocity is greater than the surface tension, so it will skip along. Now, they use atmospheric refraction as that. That's a 1 in a million circumstance where you skip the stone. More often than not, wherever a stone falls into water, it's going to sink. So they always resort to this stone skipping theory as, that's the anti-proof. No, it's not. That's a certain set of circumstances that only occurs in the black swan. And as we know, the black swan, you guys use Google Earth, and you can't use Google Earth on a flat Earth, guys. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
But the stone skipping theory kind of explains refraction very well. The flat Earth was 1 foot over 8 miles. That's 1 in 40,000 gradient. 40,000, 4 and 4 zeros after it. 1 in
I think
40,000. Fuck off, guys.
I think we can also use like the fact that they flat earthers often will say, well, gravity doesn't work because this log floats on water, right? If gravity was the thing,
Oh god.
And it's like, well, that's just your misunderstanding of not only gravity but forces in general, right? Because forces act on so a force like gravity acts on everything. So water is, for example, is being pulled down more than, let's say, something like a log, right? And the amount of water that's being pulled, sort of because it's a liquid, it sort of just pushes the log upwards, or appears to push the log upwards. And what's actually happening is the water is being pulled down more, which means that the log doesn't displace all that water.
It displaces more than it weighs. That's quite simple. The one I love about that is that I remember from, like, what was it, year 9 science, I think, or year 8 science. It's probably one of the first theories we were shown at school. And I remember the teacher saying, what do you notice? And the boat always has air below the waterline. That's what made of the ship. They also state ship's displacement too. A ship has a displacement of. They don't say it weighs, do they? You ever notice that? So that in itself is also explaining the semantics of it.
I still want to see this video. I still want to see their video of a ship returning after it's gone over the horizon, because I've still not seen that. PJ, could you show me a video of a ship returning from after it's already gone completely over the horizon and beyond the quote-unquote vanishing point, which the vanishing point, which you don't fucking understand, flat earthers, is a photographic, not photographic, an art reference, not a philosophical or natural thing. It has to do with art.
Now, I have seen some. I have asked a flat earther, and one of them actually did provide. Right, when I asked, okay, what's your evidence that you can bring back ships after they've gone over the horizon? Right. So you had a seemingly empty horizon, right? Nothing there. But then they zoomed in on the horizon, and there was a ship there. And the thing is, it was just because when they had zoomed out, the ship was too small to be resolved by the camera, when they zoomed in, it came back into view. That is not the same thing as going over the horizon. It's two completely separate things.
Yeah. Hey, Dapper Dino in the chat.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. G'day, Dapper. The other one, too, is the higher you go, the further you see on a flat Earth. PJ, that's basic trigonometry. And obviously, basic trig is something that most of you don't get. Higher you go, further you see. Where I grew up in Melbourne, and funnily enough, that's where, what's his name, that rather nasty Seppings was doing his little thing a while back. Where I grew up was actually the top of the bay in Melbourne, and from Williamstown Beach, you can look down to Geelong, 40 kilometres away, and you can see curvature in the big blue wobbly thing because you are given a reference of a petrochemical tower about 4 kilometres away, and down in Geelong, 45, 50 kilometres away, you see the same tower. You can see the curve of the ocean. It is so blatantly obvious. And when I was about 12 or 13, I saw that and thought, yeah, it's curved. That's all I had to do was look down the bay, and that's pretty much it. You just go to a big place with water, and you can see it. It's your denial that makes it not exist, not the actual facts. But we don't want the facts to get in the way of a good story, do we?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a very good story.
Them damn facts.
Goddamn
getting in
facts.
the way of.
What for them goddamn
I've been
facts?
breeding. I've been breeding on mud. I've been breeding on mudmen for the last 6 months, and not one of them's come alive yet. How many more mudmen do I have to breed on before one of them comes alive, Mr. Biblical Follower?
Like, if it weren't from the meddling facts, the world would be flat.
I thought you were going to say something about mud flood, guys.
Oh God, Roger from Mud Flood University, Mud Fossil University.
Although, Boomer, you've been breathing on mud guys. That's not the correct way to do it. All you're going to do is just give them COVID. You have to actually do something different.
Well, so they're dying. Oh no, I'm killing. Oh, I feel really guilty now. So I'm bringing them to life, and yet I'm also killing them at the same time. In fact, outside I do have some ants that I believe could be worshipping me. There are red ants and black ants. I came out and killed the red ants, and all the black ants have been my friends. They come in and clean up. When I leave food on the bench, they clean the bench down for me. So I think they're worshipping me as a god. I'm not sure. It's kind of cool. I like the black ants because the red ants and bull ants, they're bastards. So I killed them all, and they all said, hey, he is God. Sorry, Tony Ray Jr. Say how are you, Tony? You know, chat rocks. We like you guys. You guys actually make our show. You give us more material because we had fuck all when we came in here. So thank you.
PJCnet, all the monkey/human hybrids, they exist in skeleton form called fossils. We have plenty of those. We have plenty of intermediary species of humans that don't exist anymore because they died out. Because we're the surviving species.
And the thing is, like, what a lot of people often ask is they say, you know, we need more intermediate species. We keep on finding intermediate species. They are difficult to. It is difficult to find intermediate species because of the simple fact is fossilization doesn't happen
overnight.
All the time. Yeah, it's not something that happens all the time.
That too.
And you don't know where all these fossils are going to be found. So you know you got to go. Okay, here's a spot that might have some fossils, and whether you find them or not is.
The evolution of dinosaur discovery. When I was at school, there was basically T-Rex, Brontos, Triceratops, and about 3 others. Now, since we've found all the ones in Canada, northern US, and across China, dinosaurs have exploded. So dinosaur study has actually evolved over the last 30 or 40 years, which I kind of love because fossilization is a rare occurrence in nature. This is why we don't have every single species, but we can logically connect. When you look at an orangutan at the zoo, you can actually see the emotion in their face and their eyes.
Yeah.
How you can deny a connection to an orangutan? We didn't come from them. We came from the same base species millions of years ago. It's just that we climbed down and started eating meat and bone marrow and therefore evolved fire in a frying pan. Orangutans stayed in the trees and ate grass. That's the difference, okay? The base species, one of us came down and started walking upright and we still have trouble having kids. This is evolution. We're pretty fucked up if
And
God made us
also-
perfect. And here's one for you. Why does God have? Hang on. Why does God have legs? If he's omnipresent, he doesn't need legs. There you fucking go.
And
Get made,
one of
buddy.
the
Also, we
things
keep on.
that he's
1 second. We keep on finding intermediary species, but then the fucking creationists are like, well, what's the link between those two intermediary species? And when we do find that species, let's say, well, what's the link between those two species? And then when we find that species, they're like, well, what's the link between? You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
They keep on asking
when
for
you look
more
at it
and
like
more
that, the creation.
when we already have everything.
so I have a few
Their
things to.
oversimplifications are really bad. It's like one of them holds up a spark plug and says, "How does this get me to work in the morning?" Well, that spark plug, in conjunction with the rest of the car, does actually get you to work. And without that spark plug, you won't get to work. However, I'm not going to sit here and explain all of the operating principles from the fuel tank to the back wheels of a car just because you don't want to understand it. It does get you to work, and we can explain everyone if you've got an open mind. You need the open mind.
Yeah. And one of the things that PJC Net also said is why. So he says only that scrolled up. Only a handful of exact species claim there would be a virtual infinite intermediate number. And why did they die out when monkeys are still around? Okay, so monkeys were more adept to survive than the species that died out. That is that simple.
That's simple.
Like think about it like this: if there is a gene that's more survivable, eventually that gene is going to die out because the people or the individuals that inherit the gene that or eventually the bad gene is going to die out because the people that inherit or the individuals that inherit the good gene are going to survive, right? Whereas all the people that inherit the bad gene are slowly, it's not going to be overnight, they're slowly going to die out because they're not as adept at surviving. That's simply what happens. And then he also goes on to say dinosaurs weren't even discovered until about 200 years ago. Now they're being pushed hard, including to children, which makes me suspect that there's an agenda. I know what the agenda is. It's the the dinosaurs that you drop in the water and they expand. That's the agenda.
It's big pill dinosaur. Big dinosaur pill.
Actually, PJCnet, I'm going to correct you on that. No, dinosaurs were discovered more than 200 years ago. You know the thing called the fictitious dragon? They were dinosaur fossils found over 2,000 years ago. People took back bits of fossilized dinosaurs saying, hey, I slayed this dragon. He was flying and flame breathing. They were fossils, buddy, and people use that to their advantage because I am now a knight of the round table because I slayed a dragon. We bullshit, okay? People do bullshit, and that's how they were discovered more than 200 years ago. You are corrected on that. Sorry, buddy.
Hey,
Next.
Dapper, you can if you want, you can put your link in the channel, and let people go to your channel and subscribe, so that way PJC can go to your channel and talk to you about these things. So go ahead, Dapper. We just put your link in the description. Not description.
I also think that another important thing to bring up is competition. That does play a factor in how evolution plays out. Like if you have two competing species, then the species that is more adept is going to survive, and the one that is less adept at surviving will die out. And this can be two species that are closely related as well.
Yep.
For example, humans and Neanderthals were around at roughly the same time. However, humans were far more adept at surviving than Neanderthals, and were very closely related. So the Neanderthals died out. Our diets would have been the same, and the Neanderthals wouldn't have been too far off being what's it called, adept at surviving than us. We're just slightly better. We're that slight edge or whatever it was.
Dapper, you want to come on? I can shoot you a link real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yep. Also, hey, Planet, a beauty we can see right now with evolution, like you're describing, is possums and feral cats. Now, feral
I thought you were
cats
gonna say
are way
coronavirus.
better at. But possums in New Zealand and Australia, they're getting wiped out because cats are just way better at killing all the things that possums and killing possums too. So what possums will eat, which are the smaller critters that we have the sort of, well, not the vegetarian ones, but you know what I mean? Like the cats are coming in and outperforming them. So they're not actually forcing them into extinction. They're just outperforming them for the food supply, which I think is what we did with Neanderthals. And we did absorb them. I believe the European Laplanders, we do have a bit of Neanderthal DNA in us, which explains why I want to club people and drag them home by the hair. But anyway, that's possibly me too. I don't know.
Yeah. There's also
fuck,
the
sorry.
coronavirus, which the original strains of coronavirus, they're not being killed out because they're bad at reproducing or anything, or because we're killing them. It's because the newer strains of coronavirus are far better at surviving and, basically driving the other variants out. It's
Yep. We also, too,
evolution in
when you have
action.
symbiote systems like you have meat eaters need to eat meat, obviously. Well, if they're too good at doing it, they wipe out the carrying capacity of the food chain and kill themselves by being too efficient. It's got to be a balance where you're not too efficient at killing off your enemy, but you got to get, the stragglers in the herd. If you wipe out all of the herd, the whole herd's dead. And there was one point where they believe E. coli evolved where all the meat eaters died out, but the vegetarian plant dinosaur critters didn't. So that's one we found in fossilized evidence. Virus theory is totally different. PJC, you do actually bring up good conversation. We don't mind you. You're pretty good for a pose. You're one of the more free thinking pose. We like you. We do like you. In fact, I would probably buy a beer for you if I was ever over there for the cricket, for the Ashes next. By the way, PJC, that one wicket off a clean sweep in the cricket. I hope you're not a cricket fan because you wouldn't be if you're an Englishman right now. 5-0. It was almost 5-0 we got those bastards by. Just rubbing it into the sport because you know what Englishmen are like when they win. They're bad winners. So I'm just going to give them a bit of bad winning back. We walloped them 4-0 in the series of 5. And one was a draw. So anyway, just thought I'd bring up that to a fellow Englishman, another colonist.
I should probably try and have a debate with PJC Net at some point.
Yeah, I'd tune in for that.
He'll turn up at least. He is a man of integrity. I will vouch for him. He does show up.
And it doesn't have to be on flat Earth. Like PJC Net, as I saw from the thing with MC Toon, like PJC Net has some wacky ideas, and it's interesting to discuss other ideas, like the whole how we have a soul. I'm very skeptical of using a soul to explain consciousness. Like it just doesn't work because split brain patients are a thing. Do split brain patients have 2 souls?
I have actually. Well, I have multiple personalities myself. I have a sum total of 6 in my head. And does that mean I have 6 separate souls that's inside me, or do I have one soul that's just split into 6 different? That's the thing I don't get. I don't understand that.
Split brain. I think the split brain personalities are a bit more
complex,
a bit more tangible. I think because you can split the brain of anyone, and then they'll have a split brain personality where the right brain has a different personality to the left brain, and you have 2 personalities in the same person. Does that mean that we all have 2 souls, and when we split the brain, these 2 souls can no longer communicate with each other? Or do we have one soul and it's divided into 2 when we, when split by, when people are split? Or what's going on there? Like, there's something going on there that's physical, and that's why I say that consciousness must be something physical that. Because, like, hey, when you're killed, right? That's a physical change. You don't have any personality when you're killed. You don't have any consciousness there. This is a distinct lack of consciousness then.
Yeah. Well, I've just shot Dapper
You also
down,
have your initial programming when you're born. Now,
the link.
Now, all animals have a natural tendency to shy away from other creatures because the bottom line is whatever's near is going to try and eat you. And yet I have a magpie that I've met when it was a very young bird, and I've fed the thing over the years. Now, the funny thing about it, it still comes up and gets food, yet she won't let her kids come near me, and they don't come near me either. So isn't it interesting how nature and nurture? There's a magpie here that trusts me and will take food out of my hand, but she doesn't call the kids over to do the same thing. And it's very interesting. She knows my car. Wherever I land in different places, she turns up. And it's actually really interesting having a relationship with a magpie who are noted for their viciousness. Yet this one, just cruises up and sings in the morning, and I go out and say hello and throw a bit of bread to her and let her know that she's got to go and forage for food, and it's not an easy feed. But it's funny, that's nature v nurture. And also in evolution, certain environmental factors can play in too, like suddenly when all the trees are gone, you need to survive in the ground, so you may change. So environment does play a lot. Nature nurture is a great study, I think. Thanks, Tony. You're
Dapper
really getting us
Dino.
going there, as well as PJ.
Hello.
Welcome, Dapper.
How's it going,
Dino, to
everybody?
the stream. Hey, Dapper. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Now that I've just decided to give up trying to use the Discord client to add a friend, instead I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to use the website. I'm done trying.
Yay!
Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
Nice one.
Well,
I don't know.
we're waiting
I'm
for
just
Dapper Dino
technological.
to figure things out.
No, I
PJ
figured it
Net
out.
said split brain patients, two souls is plausible, as is schizophrenia. But that is more likely to be an entity attaching to the person as written about by Jerry Marzinski. Let me entertain the soul idea for a second. Let's say souls are a thing. With the split brain patients, I highly doubt that it's an entity, because split brain patients, it's essentially your brain is literally the connections between the two things. They get split. It used to be a treatment for people that had intense, I think it was like intense seizures or something like that.
Yeah, certain
so
kinds
they
of
split
seizures
the
that would
two sides of
cross
the brain to reduce electrical activity that goes on.
Yeah, there are certain kinds of seizures that
think
particularly
it would be
propagate.
that, but like
across.
for
Planarwalk, can you
because
hear-
I
can you
don't
hear
know how
Dapper?
many
Oh,
what's it called?
I think he's calling
How
from one of
many
his little.
personalities most people with schizophrenia have, but I think more than two is like often a thing. Because you said that you had more than one personality, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm schizophrenic myself,
Jimmy?
and I have 6 separate personalities. Yeah, 6 separate and distinct.
Right away.
And Planarwalk left because I don't think he can hear any of us.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
I think
He was echoing there for a second. I just jumped.
Somebody's echoing.
We got an echo here somewhere. Whoever can't hear the echo is echoing.
That probably is Planarwalk then.
Is it me? You still hear
He's
an echo?
gone.
Echo check.
Hang on, I'll jump out.
Yeah, no, that was still echo.
Echo check.
'Cause I don't hear an echo myself, so it might be me. So I'll drop out real quick. I'll refresh real quick and see if that
okay.
fixes it.
Must be terrible
Well,
when people say you don't exist.
I know, right?
Is that better?
Actually, I just had the government decide that maybe I don't exist because they were like, "Oh, hey, you know that birth certificate that you got? I don't know if that's good enough anymore." It's like, "Oh, gee, thanks."
Right. So you're a false person. You don't exist. Okay.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. The state is basically considering like maybe we should just unperson Dapper. Why not, right? It's like, you did issue me a state ID before. You could just do it again. Nah, let's make you pay almost $100 to try and get a new birth
So
certificate.
you can go on a crime spree. You can go on a crime spree now because you can't technically be booked if you don't exist.
Somehow I feel like they find a way around that. I feel like they might find a way
Yeah,
around that.
Damn loopholes.
Yeah, when I need to be able to prove I'm a real person, then they're like, super skeptical. When they need to prove I'm a real person, suddenly it's no big deal.
Do we don't
Right.
have a
Okay,
echo anymore?
Not currently.
We don't have an echo.
Good. That was me
No.
then.
Oh, I'm back.
Hey,
Yay.
Planarwalk, how are you?
Good yourself?
Hey.
Doing all right. I think this is our first time ever talking, isn't it?
Probably. You're sounding very dapper there. So.
Well, I mean, I do always have my top hat, monocle, and tie on, and then also nothing else.
Yeah, dude, yeah, like you're fortunate that pants are optional here, but we suggest when you perhaps visit the Queen or something, maybe pants, although it's one of those standards, you know. It's
But then I would have to
mandatory,
figure
you've
out
gotta wear pants now.
the riddle of if a T-Rex wore pants, where would it put the belt? Like, does it go around the waist? Does it go like at the top of the hips? Yeah, see, it's a pretty complicated question to just say, hey, Dapper, put on pants.
Yeah.
Can I ask a very interesting question? I've always wanted to ask a T-Rex this. How do you masturbate with such short arms? Do you use your feet?
Oh, there's special equipment. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. I asked the hard questions. I'm sorry. Okay.
Do you ever see the Dirty Jobs episode about horse breeding?
No.
Well, watch that
I don't know
episode.
if I want you to go on, but go on.
Watch that one because horses don't have sex anymore. So there's special machines for helping the stallions out.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I should turn my camera
Okay.
on. Let me do that. Where is it?
Oh no.
There it is. Oh wait, hold on.
Camera?
Hold on. I've got to return.
You're not gonna put your bits up, are you?
I have to turn OBS off real quick for me to be able to turn, because otherwise OBS just. There we go. Hopefully. Oh wait.
If evolution is untrue, then explain me.
I mean, ultimately, if evolution is untrue, explain any part of the twin nested hierarchy of genetics and morphology. Because there's no particularly good reason for that, especially when you take into account things like neutral variation. So most of the genome is essentially unconstrained. That doesn't mean it's not important. It just means it's unconstrained. So, hey, there he is. So for any given nucleotide, there's a very high chance that it actually can vary between any of the four options without actually having any selection effect on the phenotype of the organism. So one of the things that means is that if we have neutral variation that we can track phylogenetically, then that means that either there's relation and the common mutations between those groups are actually due to common ancestry, or the creator who specially created them just kind of decided to make it look like he was copying someone else's homework just to trick you. So, I mean, you can go with that. You can go with, you worship Loki and he just wants to trick everyone into thinking evolution happened. I don't think that's a good idea in terms of like your philosophical, like epistemological stances you can take and whatnot. I can't stop you, but that is where you have to go. You have to go with God is just a fundamentally dishonest entity.
Yeah. Okay. So let me posit something really quick. Then let's assume God was true. Why couldn't God create a species that was able to adapt to its surroundings and evolve?
Oh, he could. In fact, that's actually the standard line for most Christian creationists is that God created these very basic animal types and that then they diversified. So most like answers in Genesis will say like all members of Felidae all evolved from a common ancestor. And they're not super clear, but it would have had to have been, at least for extant felids, it would be a single breeding pair on Noah's Ark. So actually, people like Answers in Genesis require evolution to happen a whole lot faster than it actually can, while also denying that they believe in evolution. Because the whole thing just falls apart.
Yeah,
under even the most basic scrutiny. There was no flood. The flood story, as told, couldn't have happened because one of two things has to happen. Either you have enough room to bring the animals, and then the animals have to evolve so fast that we're going to have like elephant cows giving birth to each calf that they have being a different species in order to account for the over 500, according to AIG, proboscidean species in the course of a few hundred years, because that's all they have. Or you're going to have so many animals that I don't care how big the ark is, you can't feed that and care for that many with 800. In fact, even AIG's estimates are already crazy because they take care of less than 200 species in their ark, and it takes them something like 30 zookeepers. But they want there to be, several thousand species on their ark being taken care of by 8 people.
Also,
I think
wasn't the Ark Encounter shut down recently because of bad weather conditions?
Yeah, the roads were icy. Which, I mean, look, I like the joke is fun, but also it's not really a good argument because
Yeah.
saving yourself in a boat from a flood is a very different thing from being careful on the road when it's icy.
Yeah.
yeah. The other one though, that's a beauty for the evolution side has got to be the platypus, duckbill, lays eggs, venomous mammal. Come on, guys, take that one. What it swam all the way to wherever the Ark to get on board to then jump back off to come back, or the platypus has got to be egg laying beautifully. It just ticks all the boxes for evolution. I just love the little critters.
My question is like, what happened to all the kangaroos, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
My favorite creationist story for that is that they were shot there when a volcano erupted somewhere near the Ark. They rode the shockwave of the volcano. That's my favorite one.
I love it.
So they just surfed. They just surfed on Earth.
That's a thing that I've unironically heard proposed by creationists. It was volcanoes that got them there. But actually, more common answers are just, they just rafted there on vegetation mats, which, okay, but how come the vegetation mats were very selective in what mammals they brought, and the only placental mammals that made it were bats who could fly, and no terrestrial placental mammals made it? There are no tigers native to Australia. There are no deer. Because, all these placental animals would do just fine, and we know because dingoes and cats are, like, running riot all over Australia. There's no problem with Australia for placental mammals.
That reminds me of a very heated discussion on a very popular movie. Like, how did the coconut end up there in England? Did two swallows carry it by a twig, or because the coconut's too heavy for one sparrow to carry, right? So they had to have a European. Oh, European, definitely.
Hang on.
Okay.
Hang on. Elephant in the room, guys. How did the holy hand grenade of Antioch get to England? Antioch is in Turkey.
Yeah.
So the holy hand grenade poses way more questions than the bloody coconut.
Okay, how about this, though? I've been at a church that had a finger bone of a saint from Russia, and that church was not in Russia. It was in the United States. So, things get around.
Yeah, things get around.
Talk about flip the bird. Was it the middle finger?
Actually, I don't know what finger bone it was. I just know it was
Actually, I believe that was a documentary I was speaking of, not a movie. It was definitely a documentary.
Oh, right. But yeah, like biogeography actually presents a whole lot of problems for creationism that they basically just don't address in any of their literature, whether it be their quote unquote scholarly or their like lay audience literature. They just don't bother because the thing is, there's really no satisfactory answer for why it is that deer and monkeys and tigers could make it all throughout the Indonesian islands and whatnot. But Australia, not possible.
Not possible.
Just couldn't do it.
Nope.
The tigers got to Sumatra and thought, no, Sumatra's nice. We'll stay here. This will be great. There's plenty of food around. We'll just hang out here. Why go to Australia? It's a fucking desert, man.
The thing is, though, the coastal parts that you can land on aren't always deserts. Like the interior of the continent is mostly a desert, but there are nice, lush tropical jungles along the northern and eastern coasts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where we all are. Yeah, the population density out in the middle is less than. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. I agree. It's a green edge desert, but that's a huge beach when you think about it. Tigers would just stay in Sumatra where you can hide because they're stealth critters.
But
the thing is that. Sorry.
Plus, pretty much everything in Australia wants to kill you, even the land.
Yeah, but come on, tigers would be just fine.
Yeah, tigers would be just fine.
I am disappointed when I went over to Australia, though. I never actually saw any snakes. I have never seen a snake in my life.
Oh.
Wait, not even like in a zoo?
I can send you one. I've sent you one. I've sent several to your address, actually. So, tiger snake. You haven't get a tiger snake turn up in the post? Fuck.
No,
okay.
I haven't.
You better give me your address again.
Sounds like you're supposed to be using your packages.
There was that one thing that you sent. I'm not sure if it was meant to be a snake or not, but it still had the balls attached.
Actually, snakes are also an interesting.
No, that was the Amazon.
Snakes also an interesting thing for creationism because we have snakes are legless lizards, right? They're a group of lizards that don't have legs. Except some of them do technically have legs, like pythons and anacondas do have
Hang
legs.
on. No, I'll get you on the technicality there. Snakes don't have nostrils. Lizards do, because there is a legless lizard. It has nostrils. Snakes smell with their tongue. Anyway, sorry. Back to
Well, they do smell with their tongue, but they do also have nostrils. That's their primary way of breathing while their mouth is full.
Oh, okay. Oh, I
Yeah.
don't smell with their nostrils then. Okay,
Yeah, they
that's
smell
the
primarily
difference
with the
with snake
Jacob's organ,
anyway.
which is a little
Okay.
bit that dangles down at the back of their throat that looks like a uvula, but it's not. But anyway, so
Okay.
so
All
snakes
right,
are a group of lizards, but there are other legless lizards. A lot of skinks are actually secondarily legless. And one of the interesting things is that skinks that become legless typically have very short torsos and very long tails. And you can tell because there's actually a difference, but like you can tell basically where do the torso organs stop, like where do the lungs and intestines and whatnot stop, where's the actual anus. Whereas snakes are basically one big long noodly torso and a tiny little tail. Why is that? Why did God make one group of lizards out of a bunch of torso and another group of legless lizards out of a bunch of tail? What's better about tails or torsos for those particular lizards? Because they move the same way.
Yeah.
My question.
For a fellow reptilian who's got legs, you're being a bit leggist here. You're picking on your legless friends. That's a bit disingenuous. Being a reptile, you know. Like, I mean, if you're a mammal, I can
quite like
understand.
snakes
Mate, come
and
on.
other legless lizards. I'm just wondering why it is that if they're both special creations, and we hear all the time that common design implies a common designer. Well, here we have two groups of legless lizards that have a different design. So does that imply a different designer? Did a different God design the glass lizard versus the snake?
Remember that the snake wasn't always designed to not have legs. You got to remember that.
That's okay. So maybe so how about this? I guess God designed long tail legless lizards because that's what he wanted. But snakes were just really long, noodly boys already with legs. But then as a curse, he said no legs. And then they became one of the most successful groups of tetrapods in the entire history of the Earth because of a curse.
Yeah.
It was a bang up job of a curse right there.
Yeah, kind of unforeseen circumstances, isn't it? But then the talking snake and the knowledge apple, you know, I think the snake had the right idea. Maybe he did eat the apple, which was the knowledge apple, realised that not having legs would be a curse because he foresaw how good this was going to work out. So, kudos, snake brother. Yeah, we like your style, snake. Well thought out. Checkmate God yet again.
I actually like. I've actually heard of a thing, a theory, a Bible theory, if you will, that says that God is not a moral being, right? And that the only moral beings are humans that ate because we ate the apple. And basically, the apple gives you access to morality, and without eating the apple, you have no access to morality. And God hasn't eaten the apple, and thus has no access to morality.
But then, how does he know what it does?
Well, he can know what it does. He just doesn't know what is and isn't moral.
Okay.
Also, if God was true, then explain how I can stand on the ceiling like this with no problem whatsoever.
Checkmate theists.
Ha!
Well, CGI would probably be the logical one there.
I'm not CGI.
God, and he still hasn't answered why he has legs yet in the chat, which is pretty obvious because God's got plenty of people to answer for. The other side is, if you were God, you could create anything. Wouldn't you create a whole group of subcontract laborers to make all your shit? So maybe he didn't make most of the stuff. He just created creators who would then do the creation on his behalf. I mean, that's what I'd do. I'd be a lazy ass of a God. I'd just be sitting back smoking bongs all day.
That's basically the Mesopotamian creation myth.
That explains, though, why everything shares DNA, because the programmers were like, okay, let's just copy and paste all the DNA from over here to over here. Done. They want it to be out of the office by 5.
See, but the interesting thing is that actually it kind of works, but it breaks down when you get down to the detail, because then you get things like, okay, so why is it that the developmental pathways for wings in bats, birds, and pterosaurs are nearly completely different? If you're just going to copy paste over, why don't you just copy paste over the pterosaur design each time, since that one came first?
It was different
Well,
departments.
you mix
and
your
control.
photocopier.
Right.
You go to the photocopier and turn it over a little bit and scrunch it up.
So it comes back down to that whole, like, if we're going to pretend, along with the creationists, that common design implies a common designer, then we have to then conclude that different design requires different designers. And so birds, bats, and pterosaurs weren't designed by the same god. They must have been designed by different gods, which is odd because creationists tend to be monotheists.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as Boomer said, obviously God created a whole lot of creators, right? And they, different officers didn't have a whole lot of input for other officers. And, one office kind of got into a bit of a rut, and that was the office that ended up designing the whole, that nerve that goes down around the heart and comes
yes,
back
the
up to
recurrent
the brain.
laryngeal nerve.
Yeah, that office would have gotten in trouble, I think, the one that designed that.
Oh, well, you know what, PJC, if you're going to go with the option that there is more than one creator, I mean, look, it makes more sense than either one creator creationism. So, or, it makes less sense in evolution, but look, it does avoid those problems of, like, how come there's different design between different organisms? So, I mean, hey, fair enough. But it still begs the question of why is it that when we look at neutral variation, we still see strong evidence of common ancestry. In fact, there was a study done recently, which if you email it to me, I'm the.dapper.dino.yt. I know it's long. At gmail.com, or you can just come to my YouTube channel and click on the email link. And if you email me, I can send you the paper. But basically, there was a statistical analysis done on common ancestry for the entire order of primates using several dozen species from widely distributed groups of primates, including prosimians, old world, new world monkeys, including several ape species, among them humans. And they found with p-values in the several dozen orders of magnitude negative was their p-value, which basically means it's statistically impossible. This is just a fluke, basically. That, yes, in fact, strong support for common ancestry. And the thing is, we know what we would find with separate ancestry when we do phylogenetic checks, right? You would get no return on default settings because you would get weak trees that wouldn't be returned. But even if you just turn all your sensitivities off and just say, hey, give me whatever trees you generate, no matter how bad they are, you would get multiple extremely low confidence trees that were mutually exclusive and had a whole bevy of polytomies. But we don't get that ever. That's never what happens when we actually do phylogenetic analysis. I guess you can't say never. There are certain, if you put in only a very small number of very distantly related species, okay, but that's the problem with your design of the experiment. If you include enough, that's not what ever happens.
David Attenborough drew a very interesting
very brilliant sounding.
David Attenborough drew a very interesting parallel to that, where once certain organisms became symbiote systems, certain plants relied on certain insects. Although this was a risky strategy for your survival because you are relying on the other species to survive, be it the plant or the flower, and that's when most species actually took off because the trees were able to use the birds to distribute their seeds and so forth. So although it was a risky strategy to team up with another species, that's when life on the planet really did take off at that stage. Up until then, it kind of plodded along at a certain pace. And David Attenborough does a really intriguing documentaries on that stuff too, bless him. He's a fantastic person. In fact, he's taught me virtually everything I know, I think.
But unlike his brother, he never built a living dinosaur park.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. Tell me, have you been well fed, by the way? Because we're kind of a bit concerned what you might eat in the studio after this show. So you're well fed, I take it? I'm a bit worried about
I just had some.
Yeah.
I just cooked some chicken earlier, so I'm okay for now.
Hey, come on. Chicken?
Yeah.
That's your direct descendant, aren't they?
No.
You're eating your children.
No.
Did you eat the children?
Well, I mean, I do have some eggs, but these were adult chickens that I was eating. But
and besides, chickens aren't descendants of T-Rexes, just to be clear.
Or Ceratosaurus.
I believe T-Rex is in the same group as what?
T-Rex is in Coelurosauria, but basically Tyrannosauroidea is basically the split from there over to like Maniraptoromorphs, if I remember correctly, is
Are
basically
you
the
saying my
first split.
source?
What?
Are you saying my source being red dwarf is actually wrong? Oh, come on, guys!
Yeah,
I can't
possibly.
trust
Yeah,
red dwarf.
yeah. You can't
Who can I trust?
trust
Oh,
red dwarf. Sorry.
no.
So basically, while
Oh.
being Silurosaurus, Tyrannosauroids are as distant from birds as you can get, but also Ceratosaurus, which is the genus I am, is actually significantly further removed. Ceratosaurus aren't even tetanurans, which is one of the very early theropod divides. You get like Ceratosauroids on one side and tetanurans on the other side, and basically like Allosauroids and all the Silurosaurs, all the Megalosaurids and all that, they're all in tetanura, whereas the Abelosaurs and some of are Carcharodontosaurus in Abelus or Tyrannosauroidea? I don't
So
remember.
when I search which dinosaur did birds evolve from, it says theropods, and it says birds evolved from a group of meat-eating dinosaurs called
Right.
theropods, the same group that Tyrannosaurus rex belonged to, although birds evolved from small theropods, not huge ones like T-Rex.
That's true.
Oh, okay.
So Velociraptor would be much closer to birds than T-Rex
Yeah,
would be.
Velociraptors were tiny as hell too. They weren't. Velociraptors aren't like on Jurassic Park where they're like over human size. No, they're probably like lower than your knee.
Actually, the late David Menton, a creationist anatomist who worked for AIG and then retired but was still doing some projects for them until he died recently of COVID. By the way, AIG is a anti-vax organization, so I have zero sympathy.
Yeah.
I hope if there's a hell that David Menton for working for them goes and rots in it. Because if you're an anti-vaxxer, I don't care. No sympathy for your
Yeah.
death from COVID.
Same here.
Got nothing for you. Anyway, he actually said that Velociraptor just straight up was a bird because the evidence for feathers in Dromaeosauridae was too overwhelming even for him, even though he was willing to go up on stage and lie about bird anatomy, like basic bird anatomy. And then he ended that speech with basically like, yeah, Velociraptor is probably just a bird. Like,
Yeah.
okay, buddy, sure.
Wait. Shouldn't you have feathers though?
No, Ceratosaurus. We actually, so I'm a Ceratosaurus, and we actually have quite a few really good skin impressions from Ceratosaurus, and they show reticulate scales with interspersed scutes in sort of lines running along the body, as well as bright scales along the back.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I think we are all ignoring like the obviously true theory of where we all come from, because we all came. I think that every animal came from birds. In fact, they're all designed by birds.
But I thought birds were fake after having been replaced by the government with robots.
Not the storks.
Oh, because who would bring the babies otherwise?
Yeah, who would bring the babies? Yeah.
Got
And
it.
speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not. Speak for yourself. I didn't evolve from those stinking birds. Look at me.
Birds.
How can I be evolved?
No, you
from
didn't
a
evolve
bird?
from them. You were designed by storks.
I'm designed by
there you go.
storks. Okay, okay.
Back
I
to
can-
the
I
sim
can accept
theory.
that.
We're back to the sim theory, guys. The simulation theory makes sense. We are some kid's bad science project thrown in the back of the cupboard. I think.
I mean,
Beyond.
that makes sense these days with like how we're doing with like climate change and COVID. Like, it makes sense that we're like just some kids.
Hey, speaking of climate change, you know that Germany is working on phasing out their nuclear power program? Because that makes sense. Yay!
But nuclear is about as clean as we can get. Besides,
It is by far the cleanest and by orders of magnitude the safest form of power
safest-
generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that people saw like not Hiroshima,
Nagasaki.
Fukushima and Chernobyl and went
Chernobyl.
nuclear bad. And it's like, well, Chernobyl was basically everything that could go wrong
Did
go wrong.
Yeah.
And
Hey.
Fukushima,
Fukushima,
was
that's
basically them not listening when they said, you know, you should probably change a few things here, add more safety things. And they're like, no, we'll be fine.
And
That's
prepare for a tsunami, just in case it happens, because
So, fun
tsunamis
fact with
tend to happen
Chernobyl.
there.
Chernobyl was running an RMBK type reactor, and those are fantastically not safe compared to basically every other reactor design that's currently in operation. For one big reason, which was that they were designed to work on relatively unenriched uranium, and so as a result, they had to work really hard to thermalize their neutrons, which led to them having a positive coefficient of reactivity for cavitation inside the core, which happened, or voids, right? Not cavitation specifically, but voids, which is what caused the prompt criticality in Chernobyl. But there are also over 10 currently operating RMBK reactors that have never had a single accident in Russia still, and the Ukraine. Like, in fact, other reactors in the complex at Chernobyl, there was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Only one of those reactors melted down. The other ones kept operating for decades.
See, also, the bad thing with radiation is just look at Vishanti. That's due to radiation,
I have a feeling though that she likes that.
Yeah, she does. She actually does.
I mean, radiation isn't bad. Just ask Spider-Man.
Yeah,
And
Spider-Man.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, you can die very quickly without even knowing anything is wrong from certain kinds of radiation at certain levels.
Yeah, just
So
look at
radiation.
Putin's running what's it called? Opposing party. Look at him. He didn't know that radiation would have killed him.
So and the scary thing is, generally speaking, you don't have a lot of clues that there's ionizing radiation in the environment in unsafe levels when they get unsafe. When they get absurdly unsafe, then you will start to notice, because you'll notice like, hey, this object I'm holding in my hands is absurdly warm for the ambient temperature, and it glows in the dark. That's weird. And hey, why am I seeing white flashes in my eyes? But at that point, it's probably too late. Like, yeah, you're probably not going to make it at that point.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair,
I saw on Twitter earlier, someone was asking, where are these white specks coming from on this little pot that I found?
Also, they said it doesn't smell like anything, which means they probably just inhaled a whole bunch of radioactive dust that's emitting high-energy gamma rays.
You saw the same thing I did then.
Yeah. That person probably died.
Yeah, probably.
I want to say, to be fair, in space, on the ISS, apparently they do often see, like, flashes of light.
Mm-hmm.
That's caused by the
some
camera.
of them thought.
So that's usually caused by cosmic rays, which are relatively unfiltered up at that height. And you are increasing your exposure to radiation there. If you were to stay on the ISS long term, there would be a noticeable increase in the rate of cancer of people who did that. That's one of the reasons why, like, if someone's been up there for like more than a year, they're like, "Hey, man, it's probably time to come back." Like, you're going to be losing muscle mass, bone density, getting radiation. Not great.
Because if you start
time to get a
limbs,
colon check.
Yeah.
If you start growing extra limbs, that's a bad sign, right?
If you're growing extra limbs, and
yeah, that's the comic book story, which is a lot more fun than what actually happens. Which is that first you start to feel like you have flu-like symptoms, and then that tends to clear up a little bit. And then what happens with severe radiation poisoning is that you shit out your intestinal lining and your stomach lining. You start to cough up the lining of your lungs, and then you have multiple organ failure, and then you die in agony.
Yeah,
if you're growing extra limbs and these extra limbs are just suddenly growing, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, something has gone very bad, and you're probably going to die before those extra limbs are fully formed. Because
probably.
Let me tell you, unless you have a mutation at birth, you shouldn't be growing extra limbs.
So you mean to tell me that The Simpsons and Fallout lied to me?
Yes, that is correct.
And Spider-Man lied to me?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, that's still up in the air, I guess.
I'm pretty confident.
I feel.
I mean, who knows? What if you actually do get bitten by a radioactive spider? It wasn't radiation that changed his DNA. It was the radioactive spider bite.
Yeah,
so maybe
also
the intermediate of like the spider venom is like a mutagen.
Also, it wasn't just radiation; it was a mutagenic virus that was that the spider had been infected with.
I think that depends on what year we're telling the origin story, though.
It was a literal because they had basically, it wasn't radiation that they injected the spider with. Basically, it was if I recall correctly, they were literally mutating the spider and using radiation to mutate a certain type of radiation. To break out what
So it
to
was
mutate
basically
better.
the arachnid version of the ruby red grapefruit.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a fun story. You guys know that story about the ruby red grapefruit? It's a product of atomic gardening.
Oh yeah.
Where basically you would put the idea. This was something they did in like I think it was like the 40s and 50s. The idea is to just induce a whole bunch of mutations in crops so that you can select the occasional beneficial mutation. But how do you get mutations? Well, you make a circular garden and you put a pretty strong radioactive source in the middle of it, and then you plant consecutive rows, like not rows, but like rings going out. So the rings closest to the source get the most mutations, and then decreasing as you go out. And it was in one of these atomic gardens that a grapefruit was mutated to have the ruby red grapefruit color, and then that was taken out of the garden and then continued to be used as a fruit crop. So not exactly the safest technique, but
I want to mention, because Tony asked, what about the Hulk? Remember that the Hulk was injected with the super serum as well, or with
No.
derivative of this.
He was exposed to gamma radiation.
No. He was belted by gamma rays, according to the song. Stop Bruce Banner. Belted by gamma rays turns into the Hulk.
Yeah.
Sorry, Banner.
He also
gamma rays.
he was also experimenting, at least in the MCU, he was experimenting on Steve Rogers' blood to try and recreate the super soldier serum, and was also doing things.
Does
with,
the MCU really count?
It doesn't really count. No.
I mean, there's actual video of the MCU, so it must be real.
That's true, but is the video CGI? Have we verified that it's not?
We're talking about the MCU here.
Hey, Dave Bob in the chat too.
Yes.
Hey.
And I don't know. It all depends on which retcon you're looking at in the comic books, because.
Hey, look! Like, in what war did Tony Stark get his near fatal heart injury? Was it Afghanistan or was it Vietnam? It depends.
Yeah. So, like, which version of Spider-Man are you looking at? Is it a radioactive spider, or is it a radioactive spider filled with retroviruses?
Yeah. Or is
Look, these are characters that have been going for so long that if they were real, they'd all be in their 80s.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, none of them are. So, like,
that's
looking for too much continuity is it's not going to go.
I mean,
that's why I love the
no. Look at. Hang on, guys. Look at Batman there. Batman started as Adam West, really jovial and virtually a comic book on TV. Lots of good lines and 60s morals. Look at him now. He's just got darker and darker and darker. So Batman has turned into a grumpy old fucking boomer.
Remember when Batman used to dance?
He started as the stereotypical hard-boiled detective, just as a crazy guy in a batsuit. Then he became Adam West.
That's why I like DC, because they keep on like look at the Flash. He started off as Jay Garrison, then it was Barry Allen, now it's Wally West. They keep on changing in DC. The heroes keep on changing, and it's not the same person. Like Tony Stark's always going to be Tony Stark in Marvel.
Oh, wait. Hey, Tony Stark isn't Iron Man anymore in the current mainline continuity. He retired, and he created an AI of himself, and that's leading some little girl whose name I don't remember.
Williams.
Ironheart, but I don't remember the girl's, like, actual civilian name.
I can't remember her name.
Riri Williams.
Riri. That's probably why I can't remember it, because that's a really bad name.
Yeah,
I do like the idea of having different heroes having different powers, like in the because I generally just keep up with the MCU. I can't be bothered with keeping up with all the comics as well as all the keeping up with comics it's a tough job. Like, there's how many different universes are there in the comics? Like,
well, there's a reason that the Marvel main one is 616, because there's at least that many.
616, yeah. The Earth 616 is currently the default universe in Marvel, whereas there are 52 separate universes in DC. Currently.
Yeah. Well, there's also the fact that all you really have to do nowadays is, if you're lost, Google that shit.
Yeah.
That's true. That helps a lot.
Just Google it.
Yeah, that really does. Look, I can't keep up with most of Marvel or DC. I stopped even trying. Basically, at this point now, it's like, I'm just going to Google stuff from now on. And if someone mentions some character and I don't know who that is, I'm going to Google it. I'm like, okay, now I know. What's that?
If you want to get some real insight, you could watch the movie we're doing on Wednesday, 8 p.m. UTC, called Battle of Worlds, and it's a 1961 movie, which pretty much puts everything into its place with nuclear weapons. Ticks all the boxes as far as cheesy movies goes, and it was a year before the Day of the Triffids. So our movie coming up, just sort of throw a plug in there while we're on about radiation and universes. This one is big. It's called Battle of Worlds. You can't get more vague and across the board than that, can you?
Also, at the same time, epic in scale.
Yeah. Guys, there are some fantastic cheesy old movies around. When you look at the comic book stuff, it's easy to see where it was all drawn from. Like Shazam was actually a whole thing between Superman and all legal stuff. Like you look at these comic book characters, and underpinning all of them is a huge legal battle between courts that ended up meaning nothing in the end of it. Because Shazam became Captain Marvel, who then got taken out, and they eventually evolved into the same person. They were just too similar. Apparently, a flying superhero was Superman, and it's just, oh mate, it's such petty bullshit. It's a shame because the creativity gets stifled along the way.
Yeah, like I do know that Deadpool, right, was basically a piss take of Deathstroke.
Yeah, and then
Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, is it? And then Deadpool is Wade Wilson.
And then DC did a favor to Deadpool and created Red Tool, which is just a carbon copy of Deadpool, but he uses power tools.
You want salt? You want comic book salt company salt moves? Just look up the Black Spider from DC.
Oh yeah,
it's literally Spider-Man, but evil.
Yeah, it's an evil Spider-Man. Yeah. But no, I love Red Tool. I love Red Tool because
PJC Net is just like hoping for fusion reactors. Tell you what, man, it's like 30 years away, and it's been 30 years away for the past 60 years.
Yeah.
It's never going to be any closer than 30 years away, man. That's just how it works.
Always going to be 30 years away.
I'd much rather do what is it? I invest in something like thorium reactors, which seem to have a bit more promise than
thorium. You know what thorium reactors do?
Fusion at this point.
You know what thorium reactors actually do?
What?
You know how they work?
I've heard a few things. I know that from what I can tell, the main reason why they haven't been put into widespread use at this point is because they just decided, okay, let's focus on uranium, and so they haven't had much.
It converts it down to uranium. That's all it does. It converts it down to uranium. That's it. And it actually provides less power than traditional uranium reactors do. So there'd be no use in
Thor in the name, like thorium. It's got Thor, whereas uranium's got almost urine. So obviously thorium is going to sell better as a marketability thing.
I don't know. You know, allegedly Dave might have a good counter in favor of uranium.
Maybe.
Hey, by the way, guys, you're all under arrest. I'm going to citizens arrest you for I don't know, you're talking about comic books too much. Yeah,
for not you're all under arrest, shutting down the vaccination. By the end of the
I think PJC Net is a very strong candidate for the top left. And welcome Q to the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah, is that Quiddies or what Q are we?
That's Walter.
That's not Q from Star Trek.
Ben Bellingham.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Van Helsing.
Van Bellingham.
Ben Bellingham. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I pride myself on being able to say the weirdest shit.
You do. It's no problem. Yeah, and about fusion reactors, I guess it will be 20 years from now.
About 30
years.
20, 30, yeah.
40 years about.
Well, the thing is, in 10 years, it'll still be 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
And then 10 years from then, it'll still be 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
Because I think it's probably truly infeasible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
now,
completely unfeasible.
I want you to try and pronounce this.
Oh, God.
Not gonna try.
Oh, what are you
Uh,
doing? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like Village. What are you doing here? You know it's
Oh,
not.
that's
gonna
Lancer.
happen. God.
No
Too
Welsh.
That's
much
a
beer.
sounding-
Too much beer, Planarwalk. Try this
Yeah.
one.
That's the
Uh,
Lancer Golden Gosh. That's Lancer
just
Golden
a-
Gosh.
yeah.
Lancer
Can I just back up a little bit on the
I
thing
don't
you were
drink
talking about
beer.
nuclear reactors before? Look, Dino Dapper, although you were saying nuclear power is the way to go and Chernobyl and that gave it a bad name, what about the fact that the half-life of it is, what, thousands of years? So electricity produced now is going to leave what is a toxic thing for future generations, which is like twice the existence of human
All right, so
habitation.
Hold
has
on a second.
developed.
Just give me just 1 second. Clonplay on Carlos Plantra Posun to see Li Un Gokogok.
Yeah, it's a town in
Good
Wales
attempt.
or wherever it is, somewhere.
Clonplay
yeah, it's
on
definitely
So
that's
getting back to the
definitely
photos,
Welsh.
All right.
Okay,
Clonplay
I want
on
to-
Twin go gag root Plantra Posun to see Le Un Gokogok.
Okay,
Battery is trying to
Remy,
open a
now
portal
I
in some
want-
ancient demon language.
I want you to pronounce this word.
God damn it.
Waka
This is a
Papa.
Maori word.
Yeah, Waka Papa.
Waka Pop.
Waka Papa.
Waka Papa.
Is anyone going to actually
Waka
pronounce it?
Waka Papa.
Is anyone going to actually pronounce it
Waka
correctly?
Waka Papa.
No, we don't.
Waka Papa.
Waka
No, it's
Papa?
fucka papa.
Waka Papa.
Waka Papa.
Waka Papa.
It's fucka papa.
Waka Papa.
What about
Waka Papa. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
what about that?
Skibidi.
Skibbity.
Yeah,
It's like-
come on, guys.
Yeah, let's
Come
get
on.
back
Come on,
to...
guys, getting back to typing words in the chat.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get it back on the
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get
Not-
it back.
This is not exactly riveting viewing, fellas.
Yeah.
So it's like
Half-life of uranium, Dino.
All right,
We've got a
so
great...
there's a few things with the nuclear waste problem because I mean it is a problem, but one is
Huge
the
problem.
longer the half-life is, the safer the material is, right? So, for instance, nitrogen-16, which is a one of the decay chain products that you get a lot of in modern nuclear reactors, is really dangerous. But also, if you shut down a nuclear reactor, the nitrogen-16 is going to be gone in a few hours.
Yeah.
So the longer the half-life is, the safer the material is, because basically you can think of half-life also as how much radiation is given off per unit time for a given particle, right? So with uranium-235 having the ridiculously long half-life, it actually emits very little, whereas the really dangerous stuff emits that over a relatively short amount of time. Second, concrete and lead is really good, and you can make a concrete and lead barrier. Third, the actual mass and volume of nuclear waste compared to the amount of actually even compared to the radioactive waste of coal, is minuscule. Coal actually releases more radioactive waste into the environment as waste product than is produced as radioactive waste in reactors per unit energy. So even with radiation, we're actually still doing better on radiation and radioactive waste with nuclear than we are with most fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Another one is,
Well-
while it's illegal in the United States, it's because the United States is dumb. Most countries can take most nuclear waste and reprocess it into newly enriched uranium, because when your core is done with its life, it's not actually going to be out of your fissile material. It's going to be out of fissile material at a concentration that reactor can actually use. But you can put it back in a centrifuge, re-enrich it. Sure, you have to get rid of some of the stuff that's not fissile, and that is going to be nuclear waste, but you're still recycling a whole bunch of what was radioactive waste, turning it into newly fissile enriched uranium, and you can put that into new fuel pellets that you can put into new fuel casings that you can put into a new reactor.
So the question I'm asking is, and this was brought up in a series of documentaries called Twisting a Dragon's Tail, based on the goods and bads of nuclear fusion or fission, whatever it is.
Fission.
Now, the point of it is that, that waste that is left there has got to be managed for quite a long time, from what I believe. Now, is that fair for us people now to create that so we can keep our headers on when we could be looking, well, coal, let's throw coal out because we're driving that. That's stupid, okay? We've got to look at alternatives. Now, I believe in wind power because I was involved in logistics, and also solar, tide, and waves. to look at the nuclear option to me is a very bad problem for future generations to leave behind. It's got to be managed so we could have power. This is why I am at odds with nuclear power being a growth industry. That's just all the question is.
So there are a few things.
waste.
One is that generally speaking, in order to accommodate the global needs of energy consumption, there simply isn't enough renewable energy sources like wind, solar, hydroelectric, hydrothermal, and tidal power, especially tidal power. Tidal power is very hard to get to make to work. And the other thing is, with the exception of hydroelectric and hydrothermal, all of those things need to be supplemented by fossil fuels, because even with power storage options like flywheels or pumped water storage for energy, you still actually don't have enough consistent upkeep of the power to actually supply the power load. So basically, every time you build a solar or a wind plant, you're also either building a coal or more often natural gas plant to take up the slack when it has run out of its stored energy, which happens all the time. Another thing is you literally, actually this is the same first thing, you literally don't have enough power with those to actually make it. Also, solar has some really, really high carbon footprint in terms of producing the solar panels, and they're not very nice once they're gone. They're full of extremely dangerous materials that rival nuclear waste. So right now where we are is we're in a situation where is the long-term effect of carbon emissions, which we have to have if we don't do nuclear, there aren't any other options, going to be worse than the long-term effects of nuclear waste? And the answer is, well, we know that the answer is yes. Sure, you will have to monitor nuclear waste for a long time, and you'll probably have to put up some warnings that will last for at least a few thousand years. Okay, but the carbon emissions are also going to last for thousands, if not tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of years. So you're not actually taking away the danger to future generations by avoiding nuclear. All you're doing is you're changing it from a localized danger in one place to a global danger for everyone.
But what about geothermal then? Geothermal seems to be pretty...
Well, geothermal is fine where it happens, but you can tell how much energy is available in geothermal vents, right? There's a certain amount. And the reason that basically no one but Greenland does it, because it's not viable in most places. And it won't always be viable there. The Earth's geology will change. I mean, that's probably millions, but like there's only so many gigawatts you can produce from geothermal. If you try to do it in, say, like where I live in the middle of the desert in, say, Arizona, where there's basically no active geology, you would have to dig so far down that you couldn't, the energy gradient wouldn't actually sustain itself for actual useful power generation.
Okay, yeah.
And PJC,
all right, thanks. Okay, look, I tell you what, I was actually involved in the solar, in the wind farming industry about 3 or 4 years ago, till about our last election. I'm going to have to pick you up on this. We need to have a really good discussion, maybe on one of your streams or in a future one, because I've got a lot of good points, and it sounds like you do too. Well, let's not turn this into a huge thing now, because we're kind of getting towards the end of it. Nathan's brought up a couple of points. Good to see you, Nathan Thompson.
Hey,
I love you, Nathan Thompson. I'd love to see you in. And also, PJC net about CO2. No, that's just fucking bullshit, all right?
Yeah.
Don't talk through your ass. We are mining and burning coal at industrial rates, and we are getting back to the Cretaceous period of 440, parts per million. PJC, you're okay, but don't talk through your fucking ass. That is bullshit, and I take you to task on that. Carbon is not a hoax. You're full of shit, buddy.
And we actually know that carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that can warm up the atmosphere.
That's a simple experimental thing.
That's known.
Yeah,
that's known.
Yeah.
That's not some type of conspiracy theory. That's
all you have to do is like say, here's 2 greenhouses. I up the carbon dioxide content in one of them. Does it get hotter? The answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, and the thing is, this isn't an experiment that we had to start doing right now, because plant growers already do that, because if they have enough fertilizer, carbon dioxide can become the limiting factor for growth in their greenhouse, in which case people will actually pump extra CO2 into their greenhouses, and it raises the temperature. Now, I know someone's going to come back and like, well, carbon dioxide is just plant food. That just means more plants will grow. That would be true if globally carbon dioxide were the limiting factor for plant growth. It isn't. It's usually phosphate in almost every environment.
Yeah.
So
no. sequestering. You're right.
As well
Carbon
as
sequestering is
nitrogen.
a big thing there. But what you're saying is great. If you put it into a hothouse, you've got a great little place to grow your fruit and vegetables more efficiently. So in a sense, if we diverse it around, like there are holding tanks of water where refuse is put in, they give off methane. They are now using the methane to fire up their generators to create less coal reliance. So there are little ways where we can do it smarter. That's why, although your points are good on nuclear, I think if we work smarter and reduce our personal consumption, because I don't need to have five
I'm definitely
lights
saying
on.
that
I'm one of
too.
these old bastards that walks around turning lights off all the time,
Look, there's a reason I was happy to discover that my household is currently like a quarter of the average U.S. household in terms of carbon footprint.
Mine isn't even
But
that.
like,
mine isn't even that.
So, well, that's good. But like, so I am saying, we do need to do things to reduce personal power consumption when we can. You gotta, find. I'm not anti-solar or wind or hydrothermal. It's just that when you look at where it's available and what numbers, like what the actual output options are, and what also the carbon footprint of those things, because those things do have a carbon footprint, especially during the setup phase. And when you compare it to nuclear, they lose overall in terms of the basis for a power generation system that can keep coming up on 8 billion people alive.
Also, if we would stop cutting down the forests that use up the carbon, we'd be a bunch better off as well. That's why
we would be, although at this point the amount of carbon output that humans are making,
it's too much.
It's a drop in the bucket at this point.
Yeah, true.
The forests.
Besides, the majority of force that soaks up carbon in our planet is algae. So
yeah, that too.
What I think we should do is we should get rid of our reliance on something that creates a lot of carbon, right? And that is cars. Let's just
that would help.
Invest in trains.
No. We need to make the trains worse by splitting up the cars into individually driven pods. That'll make it better. And then we'll vacuum seal the trains for no reason.
But now you're talking about Agenda 21 bullshit, and we all know Agenda 21's trying to take over the world.
Oh, didn't you know that Elon Musk fixed traffic?
Have you seen the videos of traffic jams in his Vegas loop? That's the hilarious part.
I saw this thing from Adam something where he made a video just titled it "He Fixed Traffic," and like if I go to YouTube and just search it up, it's hilarious.
Was it a montage of just traffic jams in the Vegas loop? Because I've seen that.
Is that that one in the car where the guy suddenly says, "What happens if there's an emergency?"
Yeah, that's a good question, because like those tunnels are so narrow that like in the doors to the car, I don't think you can.
The video has 2.3 million views.
Wow.
It's this one here. I'll post it in.
I've got it.
I don't know.
Nathan Termson said, "Is the traffic is out of sight? It's out of mind." I mean, that's one way to look at it, I guess.
I mean,
make the surface streets safer.
Also, let me say something real quick. This whole Hyperloop bullshit is something they invented in the 1800s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in a drawing. It's not a new invention.
It's not a fucking new invention.
Yeah, it's not something invented by Elon Musk, and it's like Musk this and Musk that, and
it was abandoned for the very good reason that
it's
drawing and maintaining a hard vacuum over like hundreds of miles of tube is
impossible.
Basically impossible. Yeah, because like I don't care how good your vacuum chamber is, it has leaks, and the more things like expansion joints and pumping stations and whatnot it has, the more it's
very good
leak.
Example. Even in the test tube they did for
just remember
they had vacuum leaks.
Just remember that it's easy to create a 6 mile long vacuum to prove the shape of the Earth.
Also, PJ, seen that about the temperatures? It reached -2°C here the other day. This is South Carolina I'm talking about. South fucking Carolina. It reached
North America's got one of them polar vortexes going.
Yeah,
that's record temperatures for... Like, goddamn.
What's the temperature down there, Planarwalk? Come on, what is it like?
Those once in 100 year storms. These once in 100 year storms are now becoming once every 15, 20 year storms, and now they're getting to be once every 10 year storms. So the 1 in 100 years is kind of God, we're aging quickly. We're aging like vampires.
Temperature is 15 right now.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it's fairly sunny out. It's,
that
blue
sounds nice.
skies.
Oh,
4.
yeah,
Yeah, 4 cut units, huh?
yeah.
That's what I call Celsius. I call it cut units, and I call Fahrenheit freedom units.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care about. I don't know
Oh, I should
even
I should
the
probably say
American
what
units. So
I should
I
probably
don't
say what it
really
is in bar rather
In
than
bar,
Celsius.
yeah, bar. That's how much is that in bar?
Let me just convert.
While you're doing that,
To sheep units.
let's watch the He Fixed Traffic video real quick.
Great video.
Yeah, I need to.
It really is.
I need to share it, don't I?
Oof, 41C at work. That's rough.
Oh shit! I really do. Fuck.
That's
Hold
not
on a
fun.
second. Okay, I need to move this.
Damn it, Makoto, go down.
Share system audios. Screen 3. There we go. Okay. There you go. Now you can see it.
Yay.
Traffic is driving me nuts. That's not a teleporting machine to just start digging.
Oh my god, oh my god. I must have seen that 20, 30 times. I was like...
I'm gonna mute it just in case the audio gets us a copyright.
Yeah, probably would too.
But
Car with guide wheels.
That looks like such trash too. There's like
Yeah,
a
it does.
tarp on the ground.
I just love their holding hands and beer.
Just imagine if
and
the
then
car
it's the
was
RBG.
just a tiny bit off. The car veers a tiny bit off to the left.
Gotta get
Yeah.
that alignment.
But remember, hit the lights.
Yeah, you know, RGB lights, that's what really does it for high-tech stuff. If it doesn't look as cool as a gamer keyboard, then what are you doing?
Yeah, that meme you see where it says, "In the days of autonomous cars, can you imagine when your grandparents turn up? Imagine when your grandparents turn up dead with the autonomous car."
This is also a thrill ride.
Yep, mute. Mute.
There's the thrilling ride, guys.
There you
Traffic
go.
jam.
Isn't
Yeah.
Ode to Joy in the public
Fluid
domain,
traffic.
Well,
No
so
more
Ode to
traffic
Joy
jams.
is in the public domain, but that doesn't mean that performance is.
though? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
the
the
Oh
dance
god, his
robot
robot thing. Is it me or did that robot thing fall out of the public eye faster than like any of his other projects?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Tesla truck.
Oh
How
yeah, that was
many
another one that
of
just
them-
disappeared.
Yeah. How many of them are delivered?
0.
0.
Built?
When did he say that he was going to have the Tesla truck done by?
I think in like 2017 or something, he was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to deliver him in
Yeah.
2 years."
2 years.
Order them now. You
Maybe
get them in
it's
like
29 I thought it was like end of 2019 or something like that.
it might have been, but even so, we're still. Oh, that was 2021.
Yeah. Actually, here in Belgium, we have a special how do you say, ordinance by for the fire people that put out fires for EV cars made by Elon Musk. And actually, they have a whole container full of water, and they roll it to the car when the battery is on fire, and then they just dump the car inside. That's the solution.
By the way,
Yeah.
it's
A
39.
very great solution. Yeah.
It's 39 bar here.
39 bar.
Oh.
Bah.
Just,
But how many
Bar.
Kelvin?
people know?
God damn it.
No, it's bar. It's not Kelvin.
Ah,
It's-
Chikabawa.
Yeah.
Bah, chicka wah wah. So, yeah,
Oh,
I
fun-
have, I have
fun
a
thing-
I have a revolutionary idea though for the United States. Why don't we do what Japan did and have maglev trains? I mean, those get to their location pretty goddamn quick.
They do.
And it's really good in Japan because hardly anyone owns a car in Japan anymore because they usually go by bikes or trains, and they have a really good bus system which, picks people, it's a good system altogether.
I want New Zealand to, because one of the issues with New Zealand is we have a huge reliance on cars here, and it seems that public transport just keeps on getting rolled back and back and back, and people that people that don't own a car, don't have a license or whatever, they kind of get left out because I know some people that generally travel by bus, right? And when there's one place I think in New Zealand that I know of that is trying to that is making advances at least to try and push people more towards public transport, and that is Dunedin. But everywhere else is just roads, and encouraging people basically to use their own transport, which it sucks, and that means that people that can't don't have a car or whatnot, or can't travel by car, if they want to get their groceries, they either have to wait longer for buses or they have to walk in the rain.
But yeah, we just need to do like Japan and China did and just, get a good public transportation system because ours is severely lacking.
Well, public transport is communism, remember, because China did it.
Well, when I was in the Navy, I was listening to the radio, and I heard someone say that he was going to vote for the Democrats because they were going to invest in teleportation technology. So
teleportation technology.
I guess vote really? Democrat. You'll get your Star Trek transporters eventually.
Yeah, I'd love that.
It sounds like the sort of thing that Elon Musk is probably already working on, but it's probably going to inevitably fail.
Yeah.
Probably.
He'll just say, look, it's not that hard. You just use the Heisenberg compensators, and then there you go. Really, it's easy. We'll do it in 2 years.
Elon Musk is PJCnet. Elon Musk is a fucking idiot. Every single one of his ideas is stolen from like 200 years ago. 100 years ago. Yeah, 200 years ago. Shit.
Yeah, from other people, basically.
From other people. He doesn't come up with anything of his own. Every single thing he's come up with isn't someone else's ideas or even his own people's ideas that he takes credit for.
Yeah, he also didn't found Tesla or PayPal.
No, he didn't.
No. Some of the general things, in general, moving towards electric cars, yes, that's better than, I suppose, keeping them on fuel. Generally,
unless you're in a place where plugging in just means you're fueling up from a coal plant, in which case your car is just running on coal.
With
extra steps.
I do give him credit for putting EV cars more in the market. It's like people in Belgium buy Teslas just because.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was unnecessary to this. The company.
Yeah, I know. But eventually, the effect is what interests me. It's not the person who tells it; it's the effect that the person has on the world. And I'm not going to credit him for putting EVs on the market because he didn't, or invent new stuff because he doesn't. More like. People look up to somebody who says blah 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 blah, has a lot of money, he's also autistic, and
can I also say that it's just a dick measuring contest with him. That's all it is. He literally put his dick in space.
Oh yeah, no. He wants to put a larger dick in space. And not even one made of aluminum. It's going to be steel. So I couldn't think about that. Let's go with something cheaper, and bring the cost down.
Yeah,
that's eventually what he does. Then the FAA says, no, you're not going to do that in nature. stuff.
He did do one good thing, though. I will give him credit that he has, done really good on getting the spacecraft back instead of, letting it explode in atmosphere and everything.
That's a good thing. And a lot of a lot of companies are following him.
Yeah, that saves.
Yeah,
because just think about
in
this.
Germany. Yeah, in
Hey guys,
Germany,
I gotta get
actually.
going real quick.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dapper, it's nice
So,
having you.
I just want to say thanks for having me. Yep, it was nice being here. And PJ CNET, seriously, man, if you want to get in touch, I can make sure that you can have a conversation with evolutionary biologists, geologists, a meteorologist, specifically a primatologist. I've got some scientists who like to come on my channel sometimes.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if you have questions about any of that stuff, like I can actually get you, like, expertise pretty easily. So let me know. Just hop on over. And that goes for anyone who wants to talk about evolution or whatever.
As if.
Thanks, Dino. Hey, it was really good having you on, mate. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, mate. First time, always a pleasure.
All right, later.
Bye-bye.
Later, man.
I do have to say, just remember that we need to get flamethrowers to everyone that aren't actually flamethrowers, but like glorified lighters.
Anybody got that flamethrower from Tesla? No.
Not me.
I gotta tell you. Again, the flamethrower itself is even stolen because it's the exact same flamethrower from the Spaceballs movie.
They just put a sticker on it.
He just relabeled Spaceballs the flamethrower. That's all.
Yeah.
Spaceballs. I love that movie. Oh my god.
Going from suck to blow.
Hey, guys, that's a really good cue for me. I've got to get off and do some things too. I was kind of didn't expect us to go this long. It's been a pleasure. Gonna head off now, but I'm just gonna give a quick plug for the card game in about 16 hours from now. That's the Something for Nothing on this Bunker 33 channel, our Texas Hold'em. If anyone wants to turn up and have a chat or jump into the game, that's cool. And we're doing the movie Battle of Worlds on Wednesday, 8 p.m. UTC. So if you guys want to come and check that out, and I believe Planner, are you doing your game stuff tomorrow in about 18 hours time? Is that right?
No, I won't be. So a lot, like I was basically only doing that for a month to sort of focus, because like having to focus on making videos and making videos, live streaming, and making my game. There's a lot going on, so I was like, okay, I want to spend some time focusing on Flurfia to sort of get that done, more. I thought I'd stream it as well. So.
Okay, cool. That's all right. All right. Okay, so we'll. All right, so we won't see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll see you for the card game then, because you won't be doing anything at that time in the morning. It's about 9 o'clock for you. So if you're up and about, just drop it in the chat and say hello. All right, guys. Been a pleasure as always. Cheers and peace out. Love your work. See you, whatever your name was, Q, whose name I can't pronounce.
Thank
and
you.
See you again, Psycho Bob. And as always, see you, Zoomy.
Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. I don't think I've actually ever heard you pronounce your name Q.
Q. What do you mean? Water van Belgium.
Water van Belgium.
Water van Belgium.
Water van Belgium.
That's close.
Water van Belgium.
Psycho Pop.
Not, but
I'm too busy trying to play some Street Fighter 3 here.
Well, I think that's a good enough chance, a good enough place to wrap everything up for the night. So, yeah. I'm not good at doing outros, so, everyone say goodnight, I guess. And chill.
Between you and me.
Whatever you want to do, chill. Go ahead and chill it, and then we'll say goodnight. If you want to show anything.
My NASA to upgrade my NASA shield check, you can always go to Patreon. No, I'm Planarwalk. You can find me on. Most people probably know who I am. If you don't, then just search Planarwalk on YouTube. You'll find me.
Also, the link is in the description, so you don't even have to do that. Just go to the description and check it out.
That works. Yeah.
I should have got Dapper Dinos as well. I think I got Dapper. I don't. I'll put Dapper Dinos in the description as well. That way, you can.
I'd say do check him out, his channel, and what he's doing in the development of the game Fluffia, because I'm a developer too. I like what he's doing, and I think everybody should help.
Yeah, Fluffia is coming up. I get words. It's coming along very nicely from what I've seen.
It does.
Q, you got anything to push?
Well, no. Actually, I'm unknown on YouTube for right now. I'm planning to make YouTube videos of my own.
Wait,
more
are you the same Q that helped out Mr. Sensible or not?
What do you mean?
Mr. Sensible last year did the whole Mage project, but I don't think that's you. Never mind.
No, it's not me.
Those are different Q. Those are different. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who tried to take the name Q, but I had it since 1980, something like that. So.
Oh, okay. Cool. Anyway.
I'm not affiliated with any of the conspiracy theories about QAnon and stuff like that. No.
Good.
Very much against it. So.
Good. So yeah, go ahead, Planner. So what you were going to say?
Between you and me, thank you for watching.
And cut to outro. Exit stage right.
Okay.
PJC makes a good point. The problem these days is big games now need a huge budget and large team developers. It's like a movie production. In the 1980s, a single person could make a AAA game. Yeah. It definitely